Got highlight, so we can highlight our.
Yeah, I was wondering how you do that.
Yeah, there's a special app.
Why is Ethan in here? What are you doing in here?
Ethene?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Athene. What? Oh shoot! Did I just send in the wrong room? What? No. How? How is he? What?
We do have
I sent
Athene in
out a
here.
YouTube link. I sent out a YouTube link.
Give me
How
one
did you
second.
get this link, Athene?
We'll add Athene to our. Athene
How did
has
you
no
get in
camera
here?
though.
How did he get in here?
I don't know, but welcome in, Athene. Athene? Oh, he's got his microphone muted.
Hello?
Athene, your microphone's muted.
How did you get in here?
So I'm kind of as confused as you are. I just hit the link on the description.
Oh, well,
well,
congratulations.
yeah. If you hit the link in the description, that's how you join to join the conversation, right?
Oh, I'm dumb. I was just trying to listen in without
Well,
going to like.
it's good to
But
hear
you
from
can listen
Athene.
on YouTube without clicking the wait. So you were on the YouTube video.
No, I have a link saved.
Interesting.
The link. Okay.
Athene, you're one of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a god-hating heathen.
He's the chair guy.
I thought. Yeah.
Ah.
I love your channel, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I was deleting Facebook and stuff, and came across. I didn't even know you were streaming to Facebook.
Dude, well,
We are?
Originally, right?
I had a stream on Facebook once, but not for the Unapologetic show. We are streaming on Twitch right now, though.
Oh, cool. Well,
Oh, we
I
are?
guess I'll leave.
Yeah.
I'll see y'all
Okay,
in a
bye.
bit.
Well, it's good to hear from you, Athene.
You too. Have a good weekend.
Cheers. All right, let me
Later,
start
bud.
the also start the on TikTok. Got everything.
By the way, for everybody in the YouTube chat, there is no Eon today. Eon is currently being just a sleepy little guy.
Yeah, he had a very big night, guys. So, recovering. I don't know exactly what he got up to, but word on the street was that he was out fornicating. So,
Hey, we don't do slurs here.
W for fornication.
Absolutely.
All right, I think the YouTube and the TikTok stream are running that. Although it says error on the error, use a keyframe frequent for seconds or less. Current keyframes are not sent often
It's working.
enough, which can cause buffering.
It's working
know what
just
that
fine.
means. Listen, I hit go. I don't know what else to do. But either way, I think its stream is working. You and I are plugged in. Econo says, "Rip Ian, you will be missed." Yeah, it is sad that we don't have Ian here right now, guys. But he should be back next week. Is what it is. But thanks for being here, guys. Now, if you are a believer in God and you're watching this right now, you can join at the link provided. There is a link in the description of the video. It's tinyurl.com/UA-guest. Well, we've already got Judas in the house. Welcome in, our favorite trader, Judas, with the super chat. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Judas says,
Thank you,
how
Judas.
do I gift memberships in YouTube? That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to it.
No
I
one
apologize. I know you can do it because people are doing it all the time, but I don't know how to do it. And I don't even know if we have our membership levels set up yet. Did we set up membership level?
I have no
I don't
idea.
think we did. We're going to get on that, Judas. So, Judas, here after this stream, maybe today or tomorrow, I'll set up membership levels for everybody, and we'll get that whole started. If you're watching
Absolutely.
this on, guys, if you're watching this on TikTok, can you let us know if you can hear all of the audio just fine? I suspect everything should be working because I think it's the same setup we had on Friday night. But just give me a thumbs up if you can hear Dr. Blitz.
Judas, thank you for the $2. Doug did rapture Ian. It's true.
Yes. Ian got stoned by Doug, guys. Also, Judas again with the $2 super chat. Thanks, Judas. Says, did Doug rapture Ian? That is right. Yes, Doug did rapture Ian. Now, just for everyone, not to not to overcomplicate our panther, but remember, Doug has a consort, Sharon. Doug and Sharon Stone. These are your gods. And remember, petrified wood, and because believer logic is, we know that petrified wood can't actually exist because no one was able to stand around for 1,000,000 years to witness it. So if that is the case, that means it must be God, which obviously petrified.
Checks out to me, to be honest.
Makes perfect sense. I love it when you talk about evolution. People are like, "Were you there to see it?" I'm like, "Motherfucker, were you there to see God?"
Or like we're like, my favorite way to respond to that is like, look, like I have an older brother. I wasn't there to see him be born, but he's there.
Right. Right. Some people are asking what's up with TikTok. Well, we can't take guests on TikTok. We're only taking guests through Video Ninja. That's why there's a link on the screen. So I see Sherwinner and Lil Money wanting to get in on the conversation. When we do the Unapologetic live stream, guys, we have to take guests through Video Ninja. So please go ahead and follow the link on the screen, tinyurl.com/UA guest, and you can get into the conversation. We'll put you right in. We'll have a discussion. Now,
Justin, you called it URL, or you called it URL, not URL. I'm so proud of you.
The problem is, all you young bucks out there say URL, and us old boomers will have to, get in line or fall out of society, I suppose. I love it when people call me a boomer, though.
I was gonna say you got to be like on the young side of Gen X or elder millennial, right?
I'm the elder millennial. I'm 40 this year when I was born.
Okay, yeah. So then I guess that counts. Yeah. So what? 85.
85.
Yeah, that's what's the beginning of the millennium? I guess the beginning of millennial it's 1980 to 1995, right?
It's right around there. Yeah, right around like 1980 to 81. So I'm at the beginning of the millennial, and I tell you what, the millennial generation went on forever. People were talking about millennials for what felt like 3 decades. Finally, there's a new generation to pick up.
It seems like Gen Alpha and Zoomers came out at the same time.
Yeah, what the hell happened there?
Well, I think what happened is that the Zoomers became present on the internet
right
around the same time that the Gen Alphas did. And that's just because the Gen Alphas got an iPad from their parents when they were 3.
Precisely it. Now, I've got some people in our TikTok queue, Dr. Blitz, that's asking, what kind of a doctor are you?
I have a PhD in physics. So not a medical doctor. In fact, the original type of doctor, a doctor of natural sciences. Not the original. I guess the original doctors were priest types.
Right.
But yeah, in fact, it's actually the medical doctors that co-opted the term, interestingly enough. And now they just get to be called doctors, and the rest of us get to be called nerds. I don't know, man. It's kind of a bummer.
It's kind of a bummer.
What you mean is physician. When you're referring to a medical doctor, you mean a physician.
Yeah. We do have Jenna in the house says, "Bro, dude, man, lots of anger from told we are all sinners." Oh, yeah, we get that a lot. It's surprising to me how many people tell Blitz and I that we're going to hell, as if we're supposed to be scared of that. Why is that supposed to be? Because you can't be scared of something if you don't believe it exists, right?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense, right? Like, especially, and so the sad thing is that there are a lot of people who are atheists today who were raised Christian, and so they still have this like instinctual fear, right?
Right.
And that's just sad.
Right.
It's just sad.
Well, let's bring in our first guest. We've got Sam in the box. Sam, how you doing? Sam, what's going on with your audio?
Sam is a...
Sam, are you a robot?
Called the Exterminate guys. Sam's a Dalek.
Sam, you're going to need to plug in some headphones or something. That's wild. I don't know what's going on with your phone, but holy smokes. Sam, go ahead. No one can hear you. Stop talking. Robot. Damn, find some headphones. It's not gonna work. All right.
So Sam is what happens if you cross the Terminator with Donald Duck.
Yeah, that's exactly. I gotta mute you for now, Sam. Hold on. This is terrible. Ligma in the house. Good to see you, Ligma. Thank you for the 666. Ligma says, "Of course God is real. The Bible said so. Duh." Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. The Bible said so. I don't know why I was questioning the Bible. That's such a silly thing to.
I mean, it's brilliant.
All right, let's see if Sam figured out the microphone. Sam, did you figure out your microphone situation?
Is it working better now?
It works now.
Oh, so much better.
Oh, okay. Before I had earpods in. Hold
Yeah,
on.
that
That'll
must have
do
been
it.
the problem because you're okay right now.
Alright, cool. Sorry about that.
So, Sam, are you
You're
at
good.
least 18, and are you some kind of a believer in some kind of a God?
Yes, yeah. I don't believe in like organized religion. And I've been listening to you guys, and like I've really appreciated you guys. Like you guys are very sharp, and like you cut through like different bullshit out there.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. But I do. So I don't believe, like from listening to you guys, and like you can't prove or disprove anything outside the existence of our universe because we just don't have like the data to prove it or disprove it.
Sure. If I
But
told you
what
that
I do
there's
believe is
if I told you that
like
there's a magic pony that is just outside of our universe, are you inclined to believe that there is a magic pony just outside of the universe only because you can't disprove it?
I'm not inclined to prove to believe it or not believe it. Um, I just feel we don't have enough information.
I agree with
But
Are you an agnostic?
right.
Are you an agnostic, Sam?
what's the agnostic again? Sorry.
Someone who doesn't know whether or not a god exists and doesn't believe one way or the other, just kind of on the fence.
So what I do believe, like, what is the definition of a god?
I don't know,
But
some supernatural being that created the universe, perhaps.
so I have like a different understanding, and I wanted to like bring it to you to see what you thought of it. Um,
Okay.
I believe like the potential for everything in this world, like everything that exists, exists because there is a potential for it. Um, and I kind of think of that as God. Um, like I can't understand what God is or not, but the existence of the potential and the existence of our universe um, seems I interpret it as God.
Why?
And because how do how are we supposed to figure out how to live in this world, like our purpose, if we have a purpose? But
Maybe
Well,
we
like
don't.
science and
yeah.
everything,
Let's see. Maybe we don't, but let's imagine that you're right, though. We'll be as charitable to your position as well. That maybe there is some kind of a God out there. Well, how would you know what your purpose is? Just knowing that there's a God doesn't necessarily mean that you could now ascertain that you have a purpose.
right? Well, the whole world seems to guide us one way or another, for good or for bad, teaching us how to be happy, how to make those around us happy. Um, and
Well,
yes,
so I think you're ascribing some agency to the world where maybe there isn't any. Because the world could just be an inanimate thing, but we can still learn from it, even if it is. It doesn't have to be doing something intentionally, right? The universe doesn't require agency in order for us to learn. We can learn from things just being, right? Without actually acting in some sort of agential way. So how do you know that's not what's happening when you say, because I agree, like we learn from our environments and things like that, but how do you know that that means there is something that's intentionally teaching us?
intentionally. So I don't know that it's intentionally teaching us. Um, but we do learn. It gives us the ability to learn. The potential for us to learn is innate in it. So giving God agency, maybe you could create maybe God doesn't have agency to purposely guide us, but he has, I'm saying he, but whatever God is, has created this world in which we can learn.
So
Um,
what is a god if it doesn't have agency?
what is it, God?
Because then it might as well be a book, right? Or like a robot, or the laws of nature, or the universe as a whole. Like agency is kind of required for something to be like the traditional understanding of the notion of God, and this is across basically the entirety of human history, is some sort of being with a mind, with agency, right? But if
Right.
you're taking away that agency, it just doesn't sound like a god.
Right.
So it doesn't sound like a traditional God, but do we have agents? Um,
Let me ask you a question about the God con. If there is a God, what would be your method or anyone else's knowing what properties are true about that God? Like, how could we know anything property or her property?
um, I don't know if you could. We just have this universe to interpret,
Right.
but what I find, what I struggle with is what is guiding us in our interactions, in our beliefs and like philosophy of life. Is our ability to learn is the most guiding part, but which has come about because of of our existence. And
Right. We
I don't
hear
know what
you,
that
but
means.
like, so what you're kind of saying, like, there's like some kind of you know abductive sort of evidence about our universe that would require a God, but it seems like you don't really know anything about the God except that the God does indeed exist. Um, Other than the God existing, is there anything about the God that you could possibly know unless it has like revealed itself somehow?
I would say that God wants us to live in this world, explore the world, learn how to live to the best, to how to be happy and make those around us happy, and just in general to feel good.
How do you access this god's desires?
Right. That was my next question. You said that a couple times. I'm trying to figure out, and I think Dr. Blitz is know too, is how did you come to the conclusion that those are the desires of the
Um, so going back to the fact that there's potential, that the world has created the potential for everything that exists. So the potential for happiness is in it. Yes, the
But the
potential for
potential
bad.
for evil too,
What?
right? Yeah, as you said, the
Y-
potential for evil is there too.
yes, yeah, but that's what makes happiness good. The fact that you're able to choose to do good and make people happy versus evil. It gives
So
it a more real. Um, aspect to it rather than it just being some type of like in traditional, like the Bible, they
So Sam,
yeah,
I know what you're trying to say. You're saying that the potential for evil is what makes good worth it.
right.
I could say the exact same thing. How do you know that there's not an evil God that is trying to make us as miserable as possible? And it is the potential for good that makes the evil so evil. How do you know that that God, how do you know that the evil God doesn't exist if the
So
good God does?
you, I don't know if I can say you don't, but what I I don't think that there is necessarily evil or good God. There just is a God that has created these aspects of our world.
Well, careful, now you're backtracking because just a minute ago you said that this God wants us to be happy and have joy. But how do you know this God doesn't want us to have suffering and misery?
I think that yeah, I think he leaves that up to us to decide to do evil or to do good,
So what
and
does he
as a
want?
society, well,
What does he want? And how do you know?
I think maybe he wants us to live in of harmony.
Why do you think
Um,
that?
well, as a society, we tend to go after being good
Do
and
we?
living in
Do you live in
harmony.
the
We
United
also,
States right now?
yeah.
Are you
Uh,
sure that as a society we want to live in a good society with harmony? Because I would say that our society is not particularly good or harmonious right now.
right, but that's our choice. So
Maybe that's what he wants us to do.
to do what?
To be disharmonious and to be miserable.
So yes, the potential is there. I can't say what he wants, but it seems that he leaves it up to us to decide as a society.
Then
And yes,
why do you keep saying what he wants then? You seem to be flip-flopping between he wants us to be good and harmonious, and on the other hand, you have no idea what he wants. Like, which one is it?
he wants he wants us to be good and harmonious. Sorry, can you repeat that again? I'm not very
So
used
you
to
seem to be
debating.
flip-flopping.
Yeah.
You seem to be flip-flopping between, oh, God wants us to be good and harmonious, and then on the alternative, you don't know what he wants. So do you know what he wants, or do you not know what he wants?
So I can't say no. Okay, we don't know what he wants, but it seems that he allows us to decide and to choose
So how do you know that he exists at all if we don't know anything about him?
Yeah, yeah.
because our because we exist, the potential for everything that has been created exists.
What's the connection with God existing?
Um,
I agree, we exist. How does that mean that there exists a God?
okay, I see. So okay, I gotta think about that. But also, just as a general question from you guys, how do you like? Do you have any like recommendations of books or different like philosophies to like look up on like how to find meaning and like and morals and in like given at like this point, like we don't know that a God exists, teaching us to be, not teaching us, but giving us the potential to do good, which is what I've been thinking, but I got to rethink it.
Well, I think I could be wrong, but I think Sam Harris is right now the popular for how to construct secular morality without. But there's a lot of books out there on secular morality that you can pick up from, give you a pretty good idea of like how to construct a worldview that is beneficial, good, but doesn't require a God dictating things.
And that said, Sam Harris is promoting a kind of like moral realism, right? Meaning that Sam Harris is promoting like a secular view where morality is the thing that actually exists out there in the universe. There are other philosophies as well, but those are going to be harder to find in the perhaps like the popular literature. But the phrases to look, actually, there's a guy named Lance Bush who's a fairly, I don't know if he's well known, but he's a philosopher, like a genuine philosopher who does, he has a YouTube channel. He's a moral anti-realist, so you can check him out too.
Got it. So I'm sorry. Let me just write that down. Sam Harris and
Lance Bush. Lance like the medieval thing, and then Bush like the plant.
Lance Bush. Got it. Hold on 1 second. Gotta find a pen. Lance Bush. Sam Harris. Got it. Okay, thank you. I'll gonna think about it and maybe get back to you guys.
Hey, Sam, thanks for calling in. It was good to talk to you.
Yeah, same.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, guys, there is a link to join on the description of this video. A couple of people have actually put it into the comment section of the video as well. For some reason, it's not letting me pin the comment with the link, but I'll throw it up on the screen again. It's tinyurl.com/UA guest. You can join the discussion. We will not be taking guests over TikTok. Because of our technology setup, we have to take all the guests through a third-party app. But we'd love to have you, whether you're watching on TikTok or not. Displaced Gamer, good to see you in the house tonight. Or actually, it's morning. I'm so used to streaming at night. Displaced Gamer with the $2 super chat says, "Good morning. When is your modern day debate debut, Justin?" Well, I don't know yet. So I've been in contact with James, and there's a guy that really, really wants to debate me because I think he's a glutton for punishment. And we've been trying to talk to Modern Day Debates to get it scheduled, and for some reason, we haven't been getting much response. I think part of the problem is the guy that wants to debate me doesn't have a really big platform, and my platform is still growing on YouTube. It's still pretty small, so they're not really taking us very seriously. But I think it'll continue growing, especially now that I'm on the Atheist Experience as a main host. I think Modern Day Debates will be more inclined to schedule a debate with us. So in the near future, in the coming months, guys, I'm hoping to get a modern day debate going on whether or not Jesus was, in fact, the Messiah. You guys already know he wasn't. But listen, if you disagree, you're welcome to join.
You know what would be extra funny? You should do it. So Modern Day Debates likes to do 2v2s lately. Unless you're like a really big name, like, you know, Destiny or whatever.
Right.
They like to do 2v2s. So you should just bring on like an Orthodox Jew.
Oh my gosh. So I'm so glad you mentioned
on
that.
your team. Wouldn't that be funny?
So I'm getting ready to reach out to do some work with Tovia Singer. So
I don't know who that is.
He's a pretty big name rabbi right now. I think he's just about to break, or already did break, the 100,000 follower mark. But he's done a number of debates on why Jesus isn't the Messiah, and he's probably one of my favorite current creators on this topic. But I'm really hoping to do some tag team work with Rabbi Tovia because super sharp. And I got to be honest, if you put me and Tovia in a room debating on whether or not Jesus is the Messiah, I just think you're going to end up with a bunch of crying apologists. I have no reason that anyone knows Hebrew Bible better than
I mean, yeah, that sounds like a good plan. That'd be a good time.
Yeah, I got some people.
Yeah, so somebody in the YouTube comments said, have you guys... Oh, go ahead.
I say some people in the comments are already saying how much they love Tovia. He's just awesome.
So somebody in the YouTube comments says, have you guys had Danny host with you too? Yes. Danny was going to fill in today, but it looks like Danny's not available. Ian usually is our third host, but Ian had a... well, I don't want to spoil the fun, but Ian had a potentially good time last night, I imagine.
We had a really good time.
Well, look, I don't want to allegedly kiss and tell or something, but, you know.
Definitely would.
The point is that Ian was not able to wake up in time this morning.
Well, the YouTube is saying my mic is cutting in and out a little bit. I can turn it up. Hold on. Let me turn my mic up. I turned it down because it sounded a little bit hot earlier, and I didn't want to like blow everybody's ears out. So give me a second. And I'll adjust it slightly.
It says the mic is fine for TikTok. So by the way, if anybody wants to join in either on the TikTok side or the YouTube side, there is a link. If you're on YouTube, it's in the description. If you're on TikTok, you see it on your screen. Go there. We'll bring you up. We'll have a conversation. It'll be a good old time. Justin and I are fairly decent people. We're not going to be mean to you. We won't yell at you unless you say something stupid. Then you might get yelled at. But, you know, you can yell at us if we say something stupid. So
right.
Goes both ways.
If you say something hateful, it's likely that you're going to get made fun of publicly. But Ethine, we did not yell at you, friend. We would never yell at you. Unless we're
Of course
joking.
not, son.
Hey, Ethene's your son, isn't he?
It's true. He is. I've adopted him. You know how like the Roman emperors, how they would like adopt some random dude so that they could pass on their emperorship to someone who's not incompetent like their actual son? That's what happened with me and Ethian. Ethian is my adopted son so that I can pass on my dignity, or I don't know how it works. They've been doing this for a few thousand years. I figured just follow in the footsteps, right? Right.
We've got a lot of followers of Doug in here tonight. It's amazing to me, you know, how quickly the cult of Doug caught on. It seems like the ancient Israelites probably had it right, worshiping these gods made of rocks and wood.
I mean, look, did you know actually that the ancient Scandinavians, that the first people, or rather the creators of the first people, were formed from like wood that kind of like washed ashore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so, you know, not made of clay, not made of soil or whatever, wood. And wood is closer to humans than soil is, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I'm putting together a video soon on the Christian creation myths that, like, where I'm showing where they were kind of in dialogue with prior ideas from the Babylonian and Akkadian narratives. That should be a lot of fun. But this idea that, like, God formed man from the dirt of the ground and then put, like, the breath of life in him and all this nonsense. Like, the Bible is not original. It's pretty...
Yeah, I mean, the whole building a person from clay or from soil or whatever, that's exactly what you would get. Like, literally all of them are, we made a person from stuff that was already available, right?
Right.
Like, it's all like that.
Yep. And in the ancient Babylonian tale, you know, they made the living creatures by putting the wind of God or the breath of God and also the blood of God into the clay. So, like, the two substances that they thought were, like, that made you alive, the blood and the breath, you know, those came from the gods.
The blood and the breath. What about, like, the organs? Because I'm pretty sure you can't be alive without the organs.
They didn't know much about the organs. That's just part of the meat
not.
suit.
And the bones? The bones is the meat armor.
That's what it is, yeah. And God really messed up by not giving us an exoskeleton. That would have been dope.
Or an inner skeleton and an exoskeleton. Exoskeleton for the armor, inner skeleton for the structure. I mean, it would have been awesome. Gotta love meat suits.
Adonis, I see you trying to get in on the TikTok side. Adonis, you have to follow the link on the screen to get in as a guest. If you're watching this on YouTube or on TikTok right now, there's a link on the screen for you to join the conversation and tell Ian, I'm sorry, not Ian, he's not with us, Dr. Blitz and I, how wrong we are. So it's possible that your God is real, and we'd love to hear about how your God is real, and you can, educate us dirty heathen atheists.
I took a shower this morning. How dare you call me dirty? I take a shower every morning, but
It's hard to
especially
wake
this
up
morning.
without a shower. Like it's part of the morning ritual.
Yeah, it's just a thing for me. Like I don't know, and I'm not the kind to call it to call it OCD, because it's certainly not that. But it just feels wrong without it,
Yeah, I think Danny's getting ready to join us.
Ah, great.
Danny, click the link that I sent you in the Discord. It should pull you up, and it already has your name plugged in, so you don't have to. It already has your stream set up.
So we have some. Oh, I have to do laundry today. Thank you for reminding me, Judas. Like I need to do laundry. I got back from a week-long conference, and I have to wash all my clothes because I only have so many clothes.
That brings up a good question. What happens at physics conferences? Because I've been to other types of conferences, but nothing like yours.
So what happened was, 9 a.m. to noon, we have, what are they called? Plenary lectures. So this is technically a winter school, but it's a conference. So we have scheduled lectures or invited lectures for 3 hours every morning from Sunday to Friday. Then there's a few hours of a break so that, people can collaborate and work with each other. And then we have another 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, depending on the day, of more kind of contributed lectures. So 20, 25-minute talks on various things. And then, depending on how social you are, you'll either go to the bar and drink and be merry, or you will go back to your hotel room and live stream on TikTok, which is what I did.
Nice. Well, we did get Adonis come through on the link. We should have Adonis with us now. How you doing, Adonis?
Adonis,
are you... Oh, and they dropped.
bummer.
Oh, well. Guess they couldn't talk. All right. I see Fidessa M in the TikTok queue. Fidessa, you have to join through the third-party link on the screen, tinyurl.com/UA
So
guest.
Adonis says my earphones died right when I got on. Adonis, try joining without earphones, just your phone audio and your phone mic, and it should be fine.
Yeah, it should be good. Welcome in, Danny.
Hey guys,
Danny,
can you hear me?
hey buddy. Yeah.
Good.
Looking glowing.
Are we live?
Yeah, we are
Yeah,
live.
we are live.
If you need to do something, I can take you off the screen.
No, we're good. We're
Don't
good.
pick your nose.
Let's do it.
Yeah, no, we've just been, we had one guest, but we've just been kind of shooting the Schmidt, if you will.
Right, right.
Getting started.
Yeah,
Yep. Eve L.
Oh, we do have Adonis.
Oh, sorry.
Adonis is not visible.
Let me grab Adonis. We'll get Adonis in here. Eve L is our moderator right now in the chat. Eve, if you could pin the link into the chat, that'd be helpful. Let me know if you don't have pinning capabilities. I think Joanne does. But Adonis, welcome in. What's going on with Adonis? Adonis, none of your stuff is loading. Your audio and your video is not loading.
So I should just announce, Adonis, you're here. Adonis, before we get started, I just want to respond, or I just want to answer some questions that people are asking in the TikTok comments. Anybody is willing to join. If you think that we should be debating real scholars or real scientists or real philosophers or real historians, send them the link. Tell them to join and have a conversation. We're open to anything.
Yeah, a lot of people
Adonis.
get upset that we're like debating normal people, but like if the scholars were here, we'd be debating them too. Adonis, can you say something so we can make sure your equipment's working? Because I don't. Can you guys hear him?
I can hear him.
Really? Danny, can you hear him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear something.
Well, shit. How come I can't hear him? Hold on.
How
Sounds like
loud
a
do I
you
sound?
problem.
Okay, it's working now. I don't
You
know.
sound fine. Yeah.
When he came in, for some reason, his microphone was muted. But
I had
only
it
for
off by accident. Sorry.
only for the director. But it's good to go now.
All good?
Yeah. How you doing, Adonis?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Thanks for
Great.
asking. Adonis, are you a believer?
No, so I actually agree with you guys. I just wanted to like add my own take,
Sure.
like a different perspective.
Sure.
So me personally, I kind of think religion at its core is a support system, right? And you kind of know how there's the saying everyone should have their own support system, whether it's like with like a group of friends or family, right? And so yeah, I kind of feel like that's why us as people, we like hold on to a religion, just any kind, because going through life is much easier when you think you have some omniscient being by your side. You feel me?
Sure.
And,
I mean, that's absolutely true. The question is just whether or not
God is real.
the thing that you believe in is real. Yeah. Like you can look, if you need religion in order to have a social like a community, if you need religion to feel good, fine. I'm not going to be mad at you. I don't think anybody here will be mad at you. Just realize that, it doesn't make it true just because it has benefits.
Oh yeah, yes, 100%. So, all right, so I definitely agree with you guys 100%. So, what the question is, I just want to make sure I'm talking about the prompt. The prompt is if he's real, right?
Well, yeah. So the intention is that you should call in if you do think he's real. But if you don't think he's real, then there's not a lot to talk about.
Sorry, no. All right. So I said it in the comments. I just want to add my own take to it, like a different perspective, and I thought you guys saw that. My bad.
Nope.
That's right. It's hard to pay attention to the comments and what's happening in the video, but I mean, we're happy that you came up to chat anyways. I mean,
yeah, it's
you're
just
not disturbing anything.
Yeah, no, sorry. I just feel like there's like certain things that people don't look at. Like prime example, right? Like if people that do believe in God, right? This is something I find interesting. Whenever there's like a tragic event that happens or like a family member dies and they pray to God to save them, I think to myself, but like by your logic, your God is the one that allowed it to happen. So it's kind of like, you get me? So it's like, why do you believe in this person? Or like, why would you believe that this person is real, but also ask them to save it, but they're also the one letting it happen? You get me? So yeah. So it's kind of things like that kind of make me think, oh, why do you believe this person is real? And but yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of misread the prompt. I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time.
No worries. Well, it's good to hear from you, Adonis.
Yeah,
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, and you guys have a good day.
Cheers. Have a good one.
Too.
Also, guys over on TikTok, thank you so much for the gifts. I see the hearts from a bunch of people that went while we were talking. Also, Monique, thank you so much for the face paint, and Timothy for the hat. We really appreciate that. And hopefully we'll have another guest up here in just a minute. We've got Danny with us now, so I think we've got all the bases covered. We got the theology, philosophy, and the science, and so now we just need somebody to come and tell us we're stupid.
Which, look, you say it's a 3v1, but if they really believe, it's a 4v3. They have the Trinity.
Which we were talking about that a little bit on Friday night, because if you believe in the Trinity and if you literally believe that God impregnated Mary in order to birth himself, then God violated two of his own laws there. He committed incest, and he also committed adultery because she was married or betrothed to somebody else. Which means... But follow this, which means everything went out the way it was supposed to, because according to Deuteronomy 22, the punishment for adultery is execution, as for some incest, which means Jesus had to die.
So Judas isn't responsible. Judas isn't responsible. He was just carrying out God's will. Got it. Interesting.
Exactly. So the whole thing, once you realize that God is just a dirty, nasty sinner, then it makes sense. Ethine, thank you for the $5 super chat. It says, I don't have anything to add. Oh, shit. Sorry, too late. Please don't read this. Thank you so much for the super chat, though, Ethine.
Ryder, we have a guest.
All right, let me pull him up in here. How you doing, Raymond Ryder?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. How you
We
doing?
can.
Doing good.
Rahman, are you at least 18 and are you a believer?
Yes, I am almost 30 and yeah, I'm a believer.
Cool. And which God do you believe in?
Uh I believe his name is Yahuwah in Paleo Hebrew.
Okay, do you speak Paleo Hebrew?
Nope, but
Oh, well, why are
that's
you
what they
speaking Paleo
say.
Hebrew then?
I personally I think I like it more than modern Hebrew. It's a bit more original, I guess, cuz modern Hebrew only came out in the 1800s when
Well, yeah, modern English is only about 400 years old or so, right?
yeah, even English
That
I don't like it either. It's full of word curses and
that's what modern means recent, right? So
yeah,
modern Hebrew, modern English, modern Norwegian, modern Spanish, these are all new.
yeah.
Is
So,
this a troll? I got to be honest. It sounds like you're
no?
trolling us right now because
No, I am. I'm actually something you would call Torah observant.
oh boy.
Okay. Are you Jewish?
No,
Oh, okay. Are you Christian?
I used to be. I was
Do you
actually
believe
like
that Jesus rose from the dead?
I used to, but then when you read it, it's like it's not the same story. It's like a completely different made up story that has nothing to verify it with. Like even like whatever these witness testimonies, whatever it's not enough.
You'll get no argument from us on that.
Yeah, we agree actually. So the Jesus concept is right out. You rejected Jesus concept.
Yeah, I used to believe it, but then like I
So are you
found
like a
out that
Noahide?
huh?
Are you a Noahide or
No, I guess Nazarene? No, not Nazarene. I guess Hebrew Israelite then.
Oh Jesus,
Oh, okay.
I've never had a good conversation with the
this is gonna be
a black
fantastic.
Hebrew Israelite.
No, I'm not black, but I believe they're black.
All right, so tell us how you know that Yahusha is a real God.
No, Yahusha is the name of Jesus. That's so I don't believe in Yahusha, but I believe in Yahuwah.
So I don't want to get sidetracked on actual Hebrew words. Neither one of those are Hebrew words, but um, the fact of the matter is
All right.
we're more concerned about your God than what you call it.
Uh huh.
So how
Oh,
how do you
what
know
do you
that your
concerned
God is
about?
real?
Uh, so I digged into a lot of conspiracies
That's believable.
like a decade ago, and I wanted to find out who runs the world and why is everything so crappy? Why is there
Is it the, let me guess, you found out it was the fake Jews who are Ashkenazi.
no? It was I think it's the Romans that run the world because they're the ones that wrote the New Testament and created the Big Bang Theory. They're the ones that all of our history and
To be
linguistics is based
clear,
on. Uh huh.
the guy who came up with the Big Bang was Belgian. He wasn't Roman.
Yeah, but was he like a Jesuit or a Freemason or someone working under the Vatican?
I think he was Catholic,
Yeah,
So many
so
conspiracy theories.
basically, because the
but he
Roman
wasn't Roman,
Empire just
right?
became the Catholic Church. That's it. That's why they could. The Pope just goes around and visits every politician or government.
I have to ask, on Thanksgiving, do you share this with all your family, and what do they think?
I don't celebrate any of these Roman holidays anymore. I think Christmas and all
Oh my
these
god.
Pretty
these are
sure
all
that
Roman holidays.
Thanksgiving is not a religious holiday.
Oh, it's not.
No, it
You don't do
was.
you don't do what do you do for November and during the holidays? You don't go back to your
Do
family?
you eat turkey? Eat
No,
pumpkin pie?
no. I do celebrate the biblical holidays.
Like
When was the
all
last
100 of
time you
them?
had dinner with all your family? Was it recent?
Yeah, it's like
And
maybe
have you
maybe
talked
a
to
few
them
weeks
about all
ago.
this? Okay, and you've talked to them about all these conspiracy theories?
Yeah,
What do
they
they
don't like
think?
it. They
They
don't. Of
don't.
course, they don't like it. It's
And
like
do you tell them all these theories anyways, even though they don't like it?
no. I just tell them I'm in a new religion now, and I don't eat pork or shellfish anymore, and they
Do you
think
wear
I'm
mixed
Muslim.
linens?
Huh?
Do you
Uh,
wear mixed fabrics?
uh, I
Uh
threw
oh.
away. I throw away all of my polyester and nylon stuff, so I wear only cotton now. But I want to buy more linen for sure.
Hey, kudos, man. Have you been sacrificing at the temple?
No,
That's
but
one of the
I
commandments.
want to. But there's no Levite priest.
Have
I do.
you stoned anyone for breaking the Sabbath yet?
No, I haven't, because none of these guys are believers.
Okay, but if somebody was a believer, you'd be okay following the Mosaic law, saying to stone the people who work on the Sabbath.
Maybe like a small stone, like some pebbles, but I don't know that. Like,
Well,
I'm pretty sure no one breaks it.
How long did God say to follow the laws for in Deuteronomy?
I don't know.
Chapter 4, verse 1 and 2, it says, all the days that you live on the earth. He said to follow this law forever, which means if somebody in your community is violating the Sabbath, man, you got to stone them. You got to take them out.
Oh, yeah.
Justin, are you advocating for violence?
No, I'm suggesting that if this guy really takes the cult of Yahusha seriously, he needs to take it seriously and not throw out the laws that are difficult.
But I'm actually kind of happy that you're inconsistent. So
I know.
Oh, where'd he go?
Oh, what? He fell off the screen, but he's still with us.
Oh, no, he left.
Oh, he left. Oh, no.
I
think he's a troll, guys.
I don't know. It's the first time I've ever met a Hebrew Israelite who's not also a black Hebrew Israelite. That's interesting. Oh, he's back.
He did come back. He did come back. Judas is asking,
welcome.
Did God get consent from Mary? And I think all of us know the answer to that question. And the answer to that question is no, God did not get consent from Mary.
So do you think that the people who identify as Jewish today, do you think that they're actually Jewish?
I don't know. Are they the same ones genetically to the ones in the Bible?
DNA seems to suggest so, yes.
Because, okay, so here's the thing. I watched a documentary on them, and they came from...
That's not a good sign. You watched a documentary on Jewish people?
Yes. Well, multiple, actually. That's how I found out.
Was it made by Jewish people? Or were it made by, like, a bunch of races?
I don't know. Probably, like, conspiracy theorists.
Sounds about right, yeah.
But in the 400...
When you say documentary, do you just mean YouTube?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a decade ago.
Like, you know, Danny.
Definitely.
Just making sure everyone else knows.
So it was about how they came from Khazaria in the 400s,
so that's
AD.
been debunked. I mean, that's like not true. One guy suggested that in the 90s, and then DNA evidence came out and proved that that was not true.
So they're not from Eastern Europe?
No.
Where are they from?
If you do genetic testing of people who look like me, you'll find that roughly half of our DNA is from the South Levant, and roughly the other half is some composition of Italian and Germanic.
So you guys never spoke Hebrew until the 1800s?
That's not true. It had been used in the scholarly rabbinic tradition.
Yeah.
Literally forever.
Yeah.
For 2,000 years.
But you guys never spoke it?
Well, people did speak it. People also spoke Yiddish, and then they spoke their local languages as well. But Hebrew never stopped being used in a religious setting, right?
Yeah, because I saw it.
If you say I saw TikTok, I'm gonna freak out.
Eliezer ben Yehuda, he's the one that revived Hebrew for...
So what he did is he took the Hebrew that was used in the religious setting and he added modern words to it so it could be used in everyday conversation. Like the word for, say, printing press, ancient Hebrew didn't have that word, right? So there were a lot of words given, relatively modern society that needed adding. So that's what he did. He took biblical Hebrew, liturgical Hebrew, and then he added words to make it a useful modern language.
All right.
But yeah, the Khazar thing is not only is it like a conspiracy theory, it's also like used by I think I can say this. It's used by Nazis to basically say that Jewish people aren't Jewish, so I would avoid it if I were you.
So where did they come from before Eastern Europe?
I told you. So, well, okay, so roughly the history goes something like you have a whole bunch of people, Hebrews, Israelites, who were living in the South Levant around 2,000 years ago. The Romans, who controlled the area, destroyed the temple, exiled a huge chunk of them. Some of them went east, some of them stayed behind, some of them went west they were like exported on like slave ships or as refugees to Italy. And those in Italy ended up migrating north and then became the what we now know as the Ashkenazi Jews.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, so it's actually like the most well-studied genetic group, just because this is an old question. So yeah, there have been like dozens upon dozens of genetic analyses of the Ashkenazi Jewish genetics, and all of it comes back with yes about 50-50 South Levant, 50-50 Italian, and then some Germanic.
And also, are you guys also descendants of Ashkenaz from the Bible?
Ashkenaz was not a real person.
From the Bible?
Yeah, not a real person.
All right.
That's the name comes from a region, right? And Justin can probably speak on this more, but my understanding is that Ashkenaz, the reason why Ashkenazi Jews are called that is because the region where Ashkenaz was supposed to have gone got the name associated with him. So that region of Europe, roughly the northern Italy, southern Germany area, that became known as a region called Ashkenaz. And so the Jews that migrated there became Ashkenazi Jews.
All right.
Yeah. There's some backstory there because they believe that the Ashkenazi Jews descended from the grandson of Japheth in the Bible. So there's some stuff there. But a lot of these ancient diaspora narratives are silly. Like a lot of people believed for a long time that Ham is the forefather of like all of the Africans because of what happened after the Noah situation. And so because Ham was cursed, it was okay to enslave the Africans. Some of these ancient bloodline things are incredibly spurious, but also hard to shake because people read the Bible and they want to say, well, it must be true. So how do we integrate this information with what we know now?
This is all to say that, like, essentially the stuff that you've started to accept as true, it seems, the conspiracy stuff, is essentially like neo-Nazi talking points cloaked in some sort of like anti-white supremacy, but it's not that. So I would reconsider.
Yeah. But Ramen, did you want to just discuss a little bit about why you believe in this particular God?
Oh, okay. So I was like an atheist for 20-something years, and I didn't really care much until I started researching all this stuff. And the one that really woke me up was actually Flat Earth.
Oh, fuck.
You're a flat earther?
Yep. I didn't care about any of this stuff, anything, any spirituality, demons, angels, whatever. I didn't care any of it. But then when I saw there's a firmament, I was like, wait a minute. What if these Bible believers are right? What if there is some evidence to this?
Have you ever seen a satellite?
No, actually.
I've watched them get launched into orbit with my own two eyes. How do satellites work?
I've watched them cross the sky literally last week.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. 99% of international data, or actually all data, is from undersea cables. It's not from satellites. We never use satellites.
But you can see satellites. You can see satellites with your eyes.
Can you?
Yeah.
Yes,
can you
I
show
saw
me?
one like 5 days ago. Yeah.
You have footage?
I was looking at the sky with my eyeballs.
Okay.
But if you want footage, yeah, there's a guy on YouTube actually who using just a backyard telescope. Yeah. So he's like a fairly well known kind of public astronomer.
You have no problem with YouTube, right, Ramen?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course not.
I love YouTube.
Yeah. So So basically, he recorded the International Space Station through a telescope in his backyard, and you can see the structures, you can see the solar panels, and in fact, this was coincidence, but he actually happened to catch a spacewalk.
A
And you can't really
what?
make out the guy, but it's just a little tiny guy, or like blob, basically moving around.
What's his name?
I can go find his name. One sec. Let me pull up my my notes. I have it somewhere.
Because it's so strange. Whenever you Google images of satellites, all you get is CGI and cartoons. Like I've never seen a video of someone zooming into a satellite, but we could zoom into the moon, all the stars and
What would you
planets.
zoom in with it? What would you use to zoom in on it? You think your phone can zoom in on it?
No, you would use a P900 or P1000 from Nikon.
Do you have one?
No, I don't.
Well, I don't have one. Why do you think that there are just randos out there with like a P900 camera that's just gonna like randomly go out looking for satellites?
What? Well, most of those guys are flat earthers.
Exactly. Yeah, all the people
their
with that
number
camera
one.
are flat earthers.
Yeah, their number
So-
one tool.
If you want an example of somebody who does this, TW Astro on YouTube has videos of the ISS. TW Astro. So does a guy named Space Movie. He has videos of the ISS. It's actually fairly easy. Like you can do it with like a telescope that you can just buy at home. Or
Yeah, I
like,
see the
buy
video
from the
right
store.
here.
Yeah, it's like remarkable that you can see this. But yeah, you can just see the ISS.
You can also just watch the live feed from the ISS. It's really easy. In fact, I like to do it when there's a hurricane because you can see the overview of the hurricane from the ISS as it passes over.
Yeah. To me, that looks like it's over a studio.
It's not over the globe.
Yeah, the only way to convince me if they had like a full live space launch.
I've seen it. That's why I started the conversation with I've watched satellites get launched with my own two eyeballs, and I know that they exist, and I know that they're up there because I've also programmed GPS units that actually have to communicate with satellites. And GPS satellite positioning only works with actual satellites.
Okay, but for me personally, I think you could just bounce off radar off the firmament
You
to
cannot.
get triangulation.
Nope. Not how that works. You can't control how a signal is going to bounce off of a dome. That's also not how triangulation works.
Anyway, the point is that you can just see the ISS through a telescope yourself. If you don't believe anybody on the internet, go spend $1,500 or something like that, buy an 8-inch Dobsonian, or an 8-inch Galilean even would work, and then just Google, when will the ISS be over me? Because it'll pass over you every once in a while. And then just go outside when it is, point your telescope at it, and you'll see it with your own eyes.
Mm-hmm. But so they say there's like hundreds of satellites out in space, right?
Yep.
There's thousands.
Thousands. And we can't see any of those other ones either?
Well, you can. So the ones that are in low Earth orbit, I mean, like, you can see Starlink, right? Like Elon Musk's Starlink stuff. But you can just see, like, if you're out... Ryder, where do you live? Like, what? Do you live in a
California.
big city, or...
California.
Okay, you live in California. So almost certainly, you live in a part of the world where you cannot see many stars at night. But if you go somewhere dark, like at night, like far away from any cities, and you just look up at the sky, you'll see a lot of stars, and then sometimes you'll see a star just zooming across the sky. And it's not a shooting star because it doesn't leave a trail and it doesn't disappear. That's a satellite. When that happens, it's a satellite. And if you had a telescope and pointed at it, you would see the satellite.
Yeah, which is what we used to do when I was in the Boy Scouts, back when I was a young man in the 1800s. We would actually zoom in on the satellites because you can see them out in the country with the night sky, and you can tell that they're satellites. Not hard.
Yeah, I'm Googling right now, satellites in space, and all you see are just CGI and cartoons. There's not a single real photograph.
So I gave you names of the people who watch the International Space Station through telescopes in their own backyard, like personal telescopes that they own. Another guy that does this is Tom Williams. Another guy actually caught the International Space Station. It was the same guy, TW Astro, caught the International Space Station crossing in front of the moon. which is miraculous and not miraculous, but it's spectacular.
Yo, ass.
You can like
miraculous.
see it. You can like see it. You can see the moon behind it, and you can see it crossing in front, and that's pretty spectacular, right? So yeah, I mean, this is really easy to find. Would suggest that you just go to TW Astro's page, type in ISS.
Yeah, I'm on his page right now.
Yeah.
But one thing you did get right is the Bible teaching flat Earth, correct?
Yep. Job 38:14, Isaiah 40:22.
Yeah, what's up? Sorry.
I said one thing you got right is that the Bible does teach that it's flat Earth.
Yeah, that's the only reason I believe in it.
Well, let me ask you a question though, because this is really interesting. Let's imagine that the Earth was flat. How does that land in your God being real? Because every religion in the ancient world imagined that the Earth is flat. In fact, look at there's a piece of artwork on my wall right now, over on this side. This is a recreation of the Babylonian map of the world. They believed that the Babylonian empire was at basically the middle of the world, and that it was a round, flat disc, the same way the Bible describes it. So why don't you believe in the Babylonian gods?
Let's see. I don't like them. So
What do you mean you don't like them?
basically, all these gods are real. They all believe in flat Earth, whatever. They're all real, but I think they're Nephilim. I think that like throughout history, like they were the ones fighting the Hebrews. Like they were the enemies. And
You believe
search-
Nephilim existed?
Yes. And
Why
like
did
all
God create angels with baby batter that was compatible with humans?
I don't know. Maybe
Why
it's
can angels reproduce at all?
Yeah. Why do
Oh.
they even have penises?
I don't know. Maybe it's something like a horse and a mule, to make a donkey. I don't know.
You got that backwards, by the way. It's horse and donkey to make a mule.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Good
so-
writer. I hear you giggling.
Yeah,
This is wild.
my bad.
Yeah, so you can't. There's no way you can believe in the Nephilim. That's crazy.
Why is that? I
Because
do believe in giants.
It's nonsensical. How come the flood didn't wipe them out?
I don't know. Well, actually, if you go to Joshua Tree in California, you could see a lot of these mountains, these hills. They're actually.
I'm asking you a
fortified
specific
giants.
question. Why didn't they get wiped out in the flood?
Which ones?
The
Like-
Nephilim, all of them. The ones that were fallen on the earth. How come the flood didn't wipe them out?
Were they the ones that are like 72 feet tall or something?
Oh, the Bible doesn't say how tall they are. I'm just asking.
Do you think that a 72-foot tall giant could reproduce with a human?
No.
Okay, well there you go.
Actually, unless
Imagine the
unless
damage.
unless their sperm is the same, like they could
No,
just
there's a compatibility issue. Have you ever thrown a Have you ever heard of throwing a hot dog down a hallway?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, imagine trying to fit a train into a hot dog bun.
Well, they didn't have to. They just need the sperm to go in, right?
So
Whatever
the
you say, buddy.
Nephilim weren't mating with women, as the Bible says. They were doing like artificial insemination. They were like they were manually inserting it with like a stick or something. How's that work?
I guess I don't know, bro. I'm not a Nephilim.
Holy shit.
Do you trust anything besides TikTok and YouTube?
People with sincerity.
Oh, does that include the three of us?
I believe you guys are honest
But
to
not
the
sincere.
best of your abilities, but I believe some of your information are lies. Even if you believe them, you're sincere, but
But you don't question the information you're getting from YouTube or TikTok.
well, that's the thing. That's before I became a flat earther, I tried to debunk it. I thought it was
Did you
the
really?
dumbest thing.
How did you?
I don't
How
think
did you
you
do
did.
that? Like, did you go ask a university professor to like answer these questions that you have?
No, it's like you should be able to easily debunk it, because like you've been learning all this stuff since first grade, like the
So
solar system.
you
everything.
should, if you
Uh-huh.
paid attention in school and learned physics,
Yeah.
geology, these kinds of things. But I don't think you did.
Okay, it's like
Was
like you have to
your
go through
efforts to
everything.
debunk
You have
it?
to reject. Huh?
So look. So let's say that I believed. So I'm not an expert in biology.
Uh-huh.
Let's say that somebody told me that that the common cold comes from I don't know, from smelling rotten food. Somebody just told me if you smell rotten food, you'll get the cold.
Yeah,
And I
then
could
you have-
try to debunk that,
Uh-huh.
except I'm not a biologist, so I don't know anything about that to have the information required to debunk it. So
Yes,
if you
but-
wanted to debunk something like that, you should talk to somebody who does
Okay, but
know
that's-
about biology.
But that's fallacy of authority. You don't need to be
No,
anything
it's not.
to be
It's not-
cognitive.
So
don't need
look,
anything to
you're
be
you're
wrong.
right. You don't need to be an expert, or you don't need to appeal to authority. But if you're not going to appeal to people who already know the subject matter, you need to actually learn the material. So let me ask you this: do you, for example, know anything about what causes the seasons?
In a flat Earth model, it's just
On a globe.
like
On a globe
globe?
model.
On a
Do you know
globe model?
what the mainstream answer is?
is it the tilt, the 20-degree tilt?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. Yeah. Do you know what causes eclipses?
The position of the moon and the sun on the globe would
Yeah,
be perfectly
great.
aligned.
Right. Do you know what causes the tides?
The magnetism of the moon, is it?
Close. It's the gravity of the moon.
See,
So-
that's
so-
where I get into trouble with like when you see the like all the flaws of gravity, it doesn't make sense. Mass cannot attract mass. It's not possible.
It's good that they made that you can't get firearms legally in this country. Otherwise, I would. Anyway. No, look. Why do you think that mass can't attract mass?
Where's the proof? You have to use the scientific
Yeah,
method
sure.
for anything.
Yeah, I can show you. I can show you the proof.
Mhm.
Are you interested? I actually.
Yes.
Is there any way that I can share screen, Justin? Is that a thing I can do?
There is a way to do it.
Yes, it says on the browser, share screen.
Give me a second to see if I can send you something to share, because there is a way to do it. I just don't know how to do it from your end. I know how to do it from my end.
I can send you a link, Justin. Perhaps.
Send me a link over Discord. I'll throw it up.
Yeah. Okay. 1 sec. Let me just pull it up.
Allegedly, Ian said that if the Nephilim were real, all of their little sperms would be like the size of a worm, which means the woman's body would just be full of worm sperm.
Okay,
Exactly.
I sent the link in the Discord. It's not a particularly important thing, but you can scroll through, and this is just the paper I'm referencing.
All right, give me 1 second. I'll throw it up.
Yeah. So this is a paper where the gravitational attraction between two tiny balls of gold, about 1 millimeter across, if I remember correctly, was measured in a laboratory.
Also includes
Really?
someone called Jeconias.
Oh,
In Jeremiah chapter 22,
My bad.
verses 24 to 30.
What's he doing?
my bad.
I'm hearing
I'm
either
into-
a British guy or a YouTube. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, like the gravitational attraction between small masses is observed all the time in laboratories. This is regularly done, actually.
So 2 particles of dust, or
So it's two tiny spheres of gold.
that's not magnetism.
No, so gold is what's called diamagnetic. So gold, if it was magnetism, they would actually repel each other, not attract each other.
Okay.
And yeah, an attraction is not only observed, but it's in line exactly with what's predicted, given what we know about gravity. You can calculate the mass of the two spheres. You can calculate the distance between them, and then you can plot what is the strength of the attraction between them, and it lines up perfectly.
Yeah. See, I don't believe it works like that because the Coriolis effect doesn't exist.
It does.
What does that have to do with what I just said?
Okay, so if there is gravity and it's supposedly moving everything inside the atmosphere, right?
Yeah. Well, it's moving everything. It's applying to everything on Earth, sure.
Then where does it exist?
It's everywhere. You can. It's the reason
okay.
why you're
So
not
the
floating.
Coriolis, like, say it affects a bullet.
The Coriolis effect isn't gravity. The Coriolis effect is a result of the Earth's motion.
I know.
The Earth's rotation in particular.
So it affects everything off the ground, right?
The Coriolis effect affects anything that's not moving in the same direction as the axis of rotation. Gravity affects everything within, a few million kilometers of Earth.
Just to be sure, the Coriolis effect is real. I use Coriolis meters every day of my life at work. I literally have instrumentation that I use to design machines with that are measuring the flow of liquid materials by utilizing the Coriolis effect with tiny, tiny little sensitive sensors. So I know for a fact that the Coriolis effect is real, or else my meters wouldn't work.
Okay, so if it exists and it's supposedly spinning the Earth 1,000 miles per hour, where does it exist? Because if you take a plane
you can
east
measure
to
it.
west, it's the same. It's the same as west to east. There's no change.
Have you ever taken a plane east to west and west to east? Because it is actually different, and that's because of the prevalent or the prevailing winds, which happen as a result of the Coriolis effect.
Okay.
So there are trade winds that go west to east, or
Okay,
sorry, I
there's
always get this
wind.
backwards.
All right.
Those winds are caused by the Coriolis effect, or rather, they're caused by the rotation of the Earth, which also causes the Coriolis effect.
Can you prove it?
Can we prove that the Coriolis effect is real? Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
You have to actually do an experiment, but yeah, you can absolutely do
I
it.
just told you, we have Coriolis meters. We're literally measuring the Coriolis effect as we speak. In fact, if anyone here took a shower this morning and put shampoo on their head, that shampoo bottle was filled by utilizing a meter that utilizes the Coriolis effect to determine how much fluid went through it to fill that damn shampoo bottle. So the Coriolis effect is not only real, but it's the thing that is filling every bottle in your house.
So,
No way.
what degree does the Coriolis affect anything?
The Coriolis effect is proportional to the velocity of the thing that's moving, and it's proportional to the rate at which the Earth is rotating.
Okay,
It's also proportional to the sine of the angle between the velocity vector and the axis of rotation of the Earth. So
there's
in
no,
particular, if you're moving east to west,
Uh-huh.
and say if you're moving east to west on the equator at some speed, then you can multiply that speed by the rotation rate of the Earth, which is one rotation per day, and that will give you the Coriolis force. You need to multiply it by the mass as well.
All right.
But
So
yeah,
which direction is the
measurable.
Earth spinning?
The Earth is spinning east to west.
Okay. 1,000 miles per hour. But if
At
you
the
take
equator, sure.
Okay, so if you take a plane from London to Cologne, it would be like 2 hours. But vice versa, it's the same.
Yeah, that's because you're moving relative to, when you leave the surface of the Earth, you're still moving with the Earth. It's not like you leave relative to it's not like you take off from the Earth and then all of a sudden the Earth is spinning underneath you 1,000 miles an hour. When you take off, you're already moving with the Earth. So when you leave, you're still moving with the Earth.
So,
right?
so what you're saying is it can't be measured.
That's why when you jump
can be.
on a plane, you don't like fly to the back of the plane because you're moving relative to the plane. Everything on the Earth is moving relative to the rotation of the Earth. You can't jump and then the Earth rotates under your feet.
Because you're already moving with the Earth. Right.
So everybody is in constant motion?
Yes,
what you're saying.
relative to like the sun or relative to the center of the Earth. Sure.
Okay, so if you go like north or south, you would have less motion?
Yeah, and that's what the Coriolis effect is. It's the difference in tangential speed, north to south, basically.
Okay, can you prove this?
Yes, this is explicitly measurable. In fact, you can measure this using something called a Compton generator. You can measure this using I guess one way to measure this would be using a Foucault pendulum. there's a whole bunch of different ways you can measure this effect. Yeah. And
Okay.
it's done in like freshman physics courses.
So all right. How can you prove it though? Because say
I just told you. I just
yeah,
told
yeah.
you.
All right.
Like,
So
I
if
don't think
you
Ramen's
are-
actually listening.
If you are jumping from a plane and the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour, where would you land?
the plane is moving slightly faster than the Earth or slightly slower than the Earth. So you will just move whatever motion you're already moving with. And then
Yes,
there will be wind, of course,
yeah,
that
that's
might
the
move you around a
thing.
little bit.
That's like saying there's no proof of it at all.
I just told you how you can prove it. You can use
Okay.
something called a Compton generator. You can use a called pendulum. You can measure the Coriolis effect for, essentially for, my understanding is that you can use it for artillery. It's relevant for precision artillery strikes. It's taken into account. This is a real thing.
No, but if you go to military basic training for like the Marines or something, their snipers say you don't account for
I didn't say
Coriolis.
snipers.
That
I
is
said artillery.
wrong.
No, it is true.
That is not right.
said
right
artillery
at
anyway,
all.
so it's not
Snipers
relevant.
do have to account for the rotation
No,
of the Earth.
they account for bullet drop off range.
In fact, all
not
long-range
Coriolis.
ballistics have to account for the rotation of the Earth.
That's not true. Even the Navy railguns.
Are
they go,
you in the military?
No,
Okay, so how do you know that they don't?
I seen veteran TikToks.
And I actually know people in the military. In fact, if Cyber's around, he could just tell you. If Cyber's
All right.
Cyber, if you're around, join the chat. He's
I
ex-military.
want to see proof of this. Like their if they ever use Coriolis for their sniping, for their
So
long-range weaponry.
They
I just
do.
pulled up an artillery field artillery manual, and it specifically refers to the rotation of the Earth in the manual several times.
Ramen, so if it turns out that the Earth isn't flat, you'd throw away the Bible as truth.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's get this man on a rocket.
Yeah, how do you explain the 24
Jesus
hours?
didn't die for your sins because it's a
Well,
flat Earth.
I don't believe in Jesus either. There's no evidence for him.
Okay, so how do you explain the 24-hour sun in Antarctica?
Okay, that was just honestly, that was taken in a studio. I
was not.
didn't.
It was literally
It
live.
was.
So this guy won't believe anything, but he will believe
Except TikTok and YouTube.
Yes.
a 3,000-year-old book that doesn't know how anatomy works or how the world works.
Yeah, basically, it is more sincere.
I
got
want,
us
you to read
there,
I
y'all.
want you to read a passage with me, and I think
All right.
this will explain why your God is not only silly, but he's not real. So have you read Deuteronomy 22 before?
Once or twice.
Cool. I'm going to put a passage on the screen. I don't know if you'll be able to read it, but give me a second. I'll make it readable for everybody else here at least. 1 second. Get it sized properly.
The join as a guest is blocking it.
Don't worry. It's gonna take care of that. And then let me make the text bigger for everyone to actually read it. There we go. Then I'll scale this down so it's not cut off. Okay, so starting in verse 13, it says, "Suppose a man marries a woman, but after going into her, dislikes her and makes up charges against her by slandering her, saying, 'I married this woman, but when I lay with her, I did not find evidence of her virginity.' The father of the young woman and her mother shall then submit the evidence of the young woman's virginity to the elders of the city at the gate. And the father of the young woman shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her. Now he's made up charges against her, saying, I did not find evidence of your daughter's virginity. But here is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. Then they shall spread out the cloth before the elders of the town, and the elders of the town shall take the man and punish him." So just for starters here, the evidence that she was a virgin is whether or not she bled on a cloth when they had sex for the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, it says in verse 20, if, however, the charge is true that evidence of the young woman's virginity was not found, then they shall bring the young woman out to the entrance of her father's house, and the men of her town shall stone her to death, because she has committed a disgraceful act in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house. Though you shall purge the evil from your midst. Now, the test here is whether or not she bled on the sheet. And if she lies, if she's not a virgin, then she gets executed via stoning. But are you aware that only about 45% of women bleed the first time they have sex?
No, I did not know that.
Which means God who made this law does not even know how female anatomy works. Which means this God can't exist.
Or the God is not all-knowing.
Right.
Just kind of, sort of knowing.
Yeah, probably is sort of knowing. Because I never heard any evidence for him being omnipotent and omnipresent. Even
sure?
in Genesis.
Yeah, the Old Testament doesn't really paint God as being omnipotent. There's lots of times where he doesn't know things. Like Genesis 22, he doesn't know if Abraham's going to sacrifice his son. In Genesis 18, he doesn't know the situation in Sodom and Gomorrah. He says, I need to come down and inspect Sodom and Gomorrah, and then I will know if the outcry against it that's risen up to me is true. So, yeah, you're right. The God of the Bible isn't actually all-knowing, but now you're just describing a God
He does know a lot, though. I mean, isn't there a psalm where it says that, even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether? Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, and David says that all the days of my life are written for me before I was yet formed. And it also says in the Proverbs that God, is it Jeremiah or the Proverbs? I forget, but there's a passage that says that God declares the end from the very beginning. So there's definitely a lot of verses that would suggest that God knows things that, normal non-God beings wouldn't be able to know. Indeed, you could say that he would know all things.
Mm-hmm. What if God's just a guy?
It's not very godly then.
Yeah, I'd say he's a bitch-ass punk. I ain't gonna worship that guy.
Guys don't know much about women.
I know. I agree.
Then
yes.
I know more about that guy.
So whoever wrote Deuteronomy clearly was not a god and was a guy because he didn't know female anatomy. And it seems to me that someone's just placing words in God's mouth.
Definitely. But
and if that's the case, why should you trust the Bible saying that the earth is flat?
Well, you know one of the co-founders of NASA, right? Wernher von Braun?
Not true. No one cares.
Wernher von Braun?
He wasn't a co-founder. He also wasn't a flat earther. So, make of that what you will.
On his tombstone, he has...
Wait, hold on. Before you say anything,
Uh-huh.
Do you think that people choose what goes on their tombstone?
Maybe not.
Well, you'd think because they'd be dead.
Yeah, that's right. So who put it there? You know what it is, right?
Probably.
It is also irrelevant. We have a really good question from Aaron. Aaron, thank you for the super chat. It says, do germs cause disease or is it demons? And how do you know? You didn't see the germs affecting your body. The Bible blames diseases both on unclean spirits and also on God. So do these diseases and sicknesses really exist or are they just demons?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah.
Okay, so lately I've been researching electricity.
Oh, no. Researching? You mean watching YouTube videos?
Yes.
Right?
It's called Curse of the Dragons, Dirty Electricity. And there's a book. Damn, I even forgot the book's name. But
did you read the book?
Nope, I did not.
Listen,
it's the guy reading the book.
I'm an actual electrical engineer. I'm more than happy to donate some electrical textbooks to you if you want to do real research.
Okay. Oh, all right. Can I ask you, does smart meters cause autism?
No.
No?
No.
But is dirty electricity real?
I mean, does it create fossil fuel contamination when we make electricity? Quite often.
No, it's like EMF radiation that can affect the body.
EMF typically almost never affects the body. It depends on how much you have and what frequency it is. But the frequencies that we have don't affect your body. And your house has been full of it, and America has been full of EMF for generations.
So you're saying EMF doesn't affect health at all? Even though if like radio tower guys, they all get brain cancer?
They don't.
Brain tumors?
They don't.
I mean, like, so this has been studied, like it, and so just for the record, you know how Europe's like really, really stingy about like, healthcare controls and things like that. Like they don't let certain dyes be put in food because it's not safe, even though the United States does.
Okay.
So Europe has actually, or rather, various European organizations have commissioned studies on this exact question because it's a reasonable question, right? There's this type of technology that we don't know what the long-term effects are, and the conclusions from this massive array of studies was basically they don't seem to cause any harm, and it was convincing enough to convince the European Union to be like, yeah, there's no issues here, no restrictions required. And the European Union is really, really stingy when it comes to like the kinds of regulations and what kinds of things can cause harm to people. So I don't know. It's
I don't know, man. Like, I know a lot of military guys who get alopecia for having radio.
You sure they're not just balding?
That's called male
No.
pattern baldness, by the way.
No, like actual, almost like cancer-like effects from having those radio
That's
jammers.
crazy.
But do you think cancer causes hair loss?
Well,
Chemotherapy, yes.
Yeah,
Chemotherapy,
chemo does.
yes.
What? Chemo does,
Yes.
not cancer itself.
No, actually, you could actually heal from cancer.
I don't know. how to
Yes,
talk
with
to people like
chemotherapy,
you.
generally.
No. Well, chemo will also kill your good cells too. Same with antibiotics.
Yes, that's why you lose your hair. No, antibiotics doesn't kill human cells.
It wipes out your gut.
It kills gut flora,
Uh-huh.
which are not human cells. They're gut flora.
Yeah, but you also need to have good bacteria in your gut.
Yeah. So that's why you take probiotics after you take a bout of antibiotics so that you can reinstantiate your gut flora. This is a known thing. Absolutely. So antibiotics do have downsides. They can affect your gut flora, which is not good, which is why you only take them when necessary.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to make a recommendation, Roman. There are people who spend their entire lives studying the things that you're interested in. There are people who spend their entire lives studying gravity, disease transmission, electromagnetism. There are people who spend their entire lives studying these things. There are people who are world famous experts in these fields. Rather than watching a random guy on YouTube, go listen to what they have to say on these subjects, because they're more likely to be right.
Yes, but they're also more likely to be paid.
You know that the guys on YouTube and the guys on TikTok are being paid too, right?
Yeah, but they make much less money than from a grant from, say, the
No.
Rockefellers.
That's not true.
Okay, so just for the record, and not to throw shade on Parker or Dean or Harry or whatever, how much money do you think these like TikTok debaters make, like the big ones?
Like Caleb.fe, I don't know.
He's a Nazi. We shouldn't worry about him. So I'm under the impression that people like Parker and Dean make, if you were to annualize, on the order of hundreds of thousands of dollars doing TikTok content. And more power to them. They do good work. How much do you think your average professor makes? Because it's like around $100,000, give or take. Which, that's like upper middle class money. But
Yeah.
it's not like big government trying to make you keep secrets kind of money.
Definitely not.
So
That's why you have scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill Nye the Science Guy isn't a scientist.
I know, but he is a
So why'd you say him?
spokesperson. They're all actors. All these people are actors and Freemasons.
Well,
No, they're
Neil
not. Holy
deGrasse
shit.
Neil deGrasse Tyson actually
Every
holds a
single
I've
PhD in
never
NASA
heard so many
physics.
conspiracy theories from one person in my life.
Every single NASA astronaut is a Freemason.
That's not true, and the Freemasons are not a cult.
Are you a Freemason?
No, but I know Freemasons, and they're not a
You-
cult.
Are you a journeyman?
Nope.
All right.
This guy's
So
crazy.
just for the record, interesting statement. Do you know that you have to be Christian in order to be a Freemason?
Actually, you just have to believe in something.
Right, you have to believe in some kind of a god. You don't have to specifically believe in the Christian god.
I thought that is that an old thing?
It started out more of a westernized Christian god concept, but they've changed it so that now like any god concept goes.
So apparently, just double checking, there have been 10 astronauts who are Freemasons
Mhm.
of the more than 300. So
Yeah, that's enough. Buzz Aldrin.
wait, but the only 10 of them. There's been hundreds that aren't Freemasons.
Well, they could say they're not, but honestly,
But you believe them because a guy on YouTube told you.
yes.
It's wild.
Do you hear yourself?
It's wild that you wouldn't trust like actual professors that study their life in the sciences, but you'll trust a YouTube video.
Yeah,
This guy can't
because
be real.
honestly,
I think he's a troll.
Honestly, because like, you know who created NASA, right? These guys were actual Nazis.
No,
That's
no.
not true.
Eisenhower commissioned
Wernher von
NASA,
Braun,
right?
is not a Nazi.
He didn't create NASA. He was brought in to an organization that already
Mhm.
existed called NASA. He was the head of the Apollo program. He wasn't the head of NASA. Like this is information's free. You live in a world where you have access to literally all of the world's information for free at your fingertips in a fraction of a second. But you say these things like you've never even looked into it. Just spend 2 minutes. Look, piece of advice. Next time you have a thought about something in the world, before you tell somebody it, just Google that thought and is it true?
Yes, but who owns Google?
Who owns
Who
owns YouTube?
Alphabet.
Yes,
Okay, who
literally
owns Google?
Google
And
owns
who
YouTube.
Alphabet. You see all these.
So why do you trust YouTube? Why do you trust YouTube?
I don't trust. Okay, that's the thing. When you have like conflicting people and perspectives, the only thing that can make sense out of it is evidence, right?
Yes, so go look for the evidence rather than just saying things that you just heard on a YouTube video.
Yeah, this is why, like, when you go to school for engineering or physics or one of the sciences, you have labs where you like recreate the experiments and you can see for yourself. You don't just watch a YouTube
scientific
video.
method. That's right. You got to use the scientific.
So
method.
have you done experiments before?
No.
Don't lie.
Let me think.
No, you
Don't
don't have to think
lie.
about this one.
No.
Right. Guys, we do have 2 other guests that have been waiting to get in for a while. I think
Yeah, we should move on.
we've-
Raman, advice. Go take a science class. Learn
right.
science.
Please.
All right, but let me tell
Stay in
you,
school.
jet fuel does not exist.
Oh,
They
for
use
fuck's sake.
compressed air. Look it up.
Wait a
There's
minute.
no
Hold
fuel
on. He's been trolling us this whole time because
No, I'm
could have
not.
said jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
It was
but
on
he
his
instead said
tongue.
jet
He
fuel
wanted
doesn't
to say
exist.
it. He wanted
No,
to
I
say
said
it.
no. I said
All right, we got to get him out of here. All right, thanks for coming through. I don't believe he's a real person. Also, Marduk, thank you for the $5 super
I don't want to
thanks.
believe he's a real person.
I know. I really hope he's not real. And Amir, thank you so much for the $5 super thanks as well. And Amir also with the $5 super chat says, wouldn't the ISS pass by pretty fast? Even the moon drifts out of view slowly. I haven't tried with my telly, but I thought it would be too fast to track. It would be hard to track the ISS, but it
does move
certainly is
quickly.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah, so you just need a telescope that can you can see it with your eyes. Like it's not so fast that you can't see it with your eyes. It moves quickly, but you can see it with your eyes. If you want to track it with a telescope, you'll either just point it at a location and just see it fly by, or you'll need a tracking mount.
Right. Bucky, thank you for the $5 super chat. It says, ask him if he believes Smithsonian's covered up the giants, please. LOL. It came from a satire website. You know what? I actually, that's a good point. I didn't see that super chat because it kind of got buried in the chat. But there's a conspiracy theory that the Smithsonian's are covering up the bones of the giants and so on and so forth. But it came from a satirical website like The Onion, but people bought it hook, line, and sinker. I remember the first time somebody brought it to me saying that this proves the Bible. Jackson, thank you for the $5 super chat. Jackson says, please ask the guests, how do they not believe in gravity when airplane tech uses equations that assume gravity is real in order for flight to happen? Well, he would just say that it's not real. They don't actually do that. And the airplane people are lying to you. And Amir, you're right.
And the YouTubers are telling the truth.
Yeah, the YouTubers are telling the truth. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, Amir. He says the guest is unraveling. I think he's unraveled. I agree. And Cameron with the $5 super chat says, is this guest trying to be cute? Not a good student, by the way. I don't know if he's trying to be cute, but I do think he was trolling. That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong on that. And Aaron, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Aaron says, Danny, doesn't it seem quite obvious that the caller is operating a double standard of epistemology?
Very obvious.
Yeah, I would say so. And
And by the way, the guy that was talking earlier is not Danny. That some people thought that it was the person in the TikTok added.
Right.
That's my.
Johannes, thank you for the $2 super chat. It says the real elite group are Ohioans. Yeah, there's a lot of astronauts and Freemasons from Ohio, so that's how you know that we're doing the devil's work up here. All right.
The only reason there's so many astronauts from Ohio is because they want to get as far away from Ohio as possible. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I've been here for a long time, and it's pretty rough. We've got a new guest in here. It's Sensational, I think is the name. It's hard to read because I'm old and the text is small. But how you doing, Sensational?
Good. I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Doing good. Thanks for waiting.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, just had a quick question. I've been watching the podcast for like an hour, and I've been watching these kinds of podcasts for a pretty long time now, and I just have a simple question. Why does nobody bring up like all the religions when they talk about religion? Like most podcasts only bring up the Bible. They don't bring up the Torah or the Quran and other proofs of religious
You haven't been watching
existence.
long enough. You haven't been watching long enough.
Maybe I missed it.
Yeah, we were literally just talking to somebody about his Hebrew belief system based on the Old Testament or the Hebrew scriptures. But we've debated others. We debated Muslims. We debated. I've debated Hindus. I mean, we can't control who comes up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. So, me personally, I'm Muslim, and the main argument I make when people tell me that my book has been meddled with or is not truthful is that I think we're the only religion today who can trace back everyone who studied the book and everyone who taught the book. Like, I have a teacher, for example, who can tell me that he's number 35, I think, on the list of people who it has been transmitted to. So that to me is one of the, not the main proof, but one of the main proofs that whatever is in the Quran and whatever teachings that we have learned are basically true.
I think the Mormons have you beat there.
Yeah.
The Mormons probably have better records than those who practice Islam do.
Yeah, I don't understand the assumption that if it's been perfectly preserved, then it's like more likely true. I don't understand.
Well, it's not only more likely true, but more likely credible. Like, it's a credible source. For example,
why would anyone accept that if that a text has been better preserved, perfectly preserved, that it's more likely true? I don't get it.
Why would they not? Because the main point that some people make about the Bible is that some of the passages are messy, or some of them are extreme, and most people do not know the source of the passage or do not know how many times it has been translated from Hebrew to Greek to Roman to English to French or whatever the language. While when we read the Quran and we couple it with the Hadith is basically, I don't know if you guys know it.
Wait, do you believe in the Hadiths too?
Well, Hadith is something that has been misunderstood by a lot of people. What do you guys understand about the Hadith?
I just asked you, do you believe in the Hadiths?
Well, first, I need to know, what do you know about
anything? I asked you a yes or no question. It's just yes or no. Do you believe that Hadiths are true?
It depends which ones.
Okay, so the ones you like are true.
No.
Well, which ones are true?
The ones you don't like are true.
There is a chain, like I said, a chain of reports. And sorry if my English is not perfectly good. I'm not American or English.
Your English is fine.
The chain of transmission, some of them are deemed true or credible by like most scholars. As you know, there are 4 schools of scholars in Islam, and sometimes there will be one school that will validate one hadith, for example, about eating pork or drinking alcohol or listening to music or whatever the subject may be. But the 3 other schools are going to be the sources are not very authentic. We cannot trace it back correctly, so therefore it's not necessarily credible. So there's no such thing as a true hadith. It's more of a credibility question, and the different scholars that validate or invalidate it.
Okay, so do you believe in the hadiths that talk about medicine?
It depends which one again.
What about Sunan Ibn Maha? I pronounced that right?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Is that an authentic hadith?
I need to see the content of it, and to see if it's authentic or not, you need to research it and see like who's the scholar that authenticated it, because some scholars are respected by the four schools. Some scholars are just rogues who basically validate or invalidate anything that they want. Like it's a
So I
pretty
just want to make sure we're clear on this. You're saying there's a whole body of hadiths, and they're just true or not true based on what some scholars say.
It's not true or not true, it's credible or not, based on the scholars, and the scholars, what they do is basically
So I just want to
to
make
be
sure we're understanding this correctly. You're saying
Yep.
that it's true based on what the scholars say, not based on any evidence that you actually have ascertained.
Well, the scholars themselves are evidence enough for us Muslims, because to be called a scholar, like not anyone can become a scholar. To be called a scholar, you need to study under another scholar who studied under another scholar who studied, and you need to go back all the way to the year
The same as Judaism,
635.
then.
Yeah, but the chain is much more respected because we have the actual names. Like if you look up a scholar, you
Are
have
you
the
aware
actual
that,
name.
like, there are multiple editions of the Quran?
Editions? Nope.
Yeah.
I know that there is one Quran that has not been tampered with, and that
There
basically
are
is,
multiple editions of the Quran.
yeah, probably some people have meddled with it. Like we have the Shia Muslims, for example, who I know there was a branch of Shia Muslims who tried to modify it because they don't share the same beliefs as Sunnis, who are the majority. And there are other schools like Sufis, etc., who may have meddled with it. But the majority have all have the same books. Like if you go to Saudi Arabia or if
Can
you
you
go
read
to
Arabic?
Indonesia, a little bit, yeah.
Cool. We've got two editions of the Quran.
Mhm.
One is from Imam Hafs, and the other is from. Oh, sorry, my screen got cut off. 1 second. Let me make that readable. There we go. Imam Warsh. These are two different Arabic editions of the Quran.
Ah,
Which one of these
it's
is correct?
okay. It's not a version. It has to do with the pronunciation and the way you read it. Like Hafs and Warsh, the way they're pronounced, is basically the way that you read the Quran. For example, you will have one verse that will be read with, like there is one letter that will be read one way with Hafs, and the same letter will be read another way with Warsh or whatever other. It has to do with the location of where you're in. For example, people in North Africa read in Warsh,
We
and
don't need a
people,
history lesson. I'm talking about what the text says. So, for example, we've got
the
the
text
text
is not
here
modified.
where in the Hafs it reads they
Mhm.
deceived, but over here in the Warsh it reads they seek to deceive. And somebody has kindly already put together a whole list of differences between the two different versions, and there are other versions. So, like if you read a textbook on Islamic history, you know that there was a point in period where they were actually burning editions of the Quran to weed out the variant texts so that they can claim that there was only one real edition of the Quran. But obviously, you could make that claim once you've forcefully burned all the other editions.
Well, to go back on your point about Warsh and Hafs, you talked about the translations. So you can have many different translations. For example, sometimes you will have a specific translation in English, and if you read the French translation, which I'm French and I read both English and French, it does not say the same thing. But if you read the Arabic versions, they will have the same letters to the, like, it's not going to be modified. You're not going to have two sentences that do not look exactly the same. Hafs and Warsh are just pronunciation things, just the way you read it and the way you pray with it. It has nothing to do with the translation. The translations are sometimes, yes, I agree with you that sometimes people, when they translate it, they will translate it in different ways, because in Arabic, some of the words, you cannot translate them directly in English. One word may mean one entire sentence. It's like with Chinese or Japanese and the letters that they have. You cannot translate it faithfully 100%. That's why a lot of people get it wrong, because they don't read Arabic, so they can't confirm or deny this.
Okay, so the multiple versions of the Quran that were burned by Usman, that never happened. That was a lie.
No, that happened. Like there was a period.
So there
I don't
was a guy
remember.
going around burning alternative versions of the Quran.
because there were people going around and trying to
How do you know that
make
you got
sure
the
that
right one?
Hmm?
How do you know you got the right one?
As I say, chain of transmission. People not only do they learn it, but they also like learn it by heart, letter by letter. Like you have multiple tournaments throughout the world every year, every month, where you have little kids who are 7, 8, 9, 10 years old who learn it by heart.
Well, yeah,
And
because they have the text, but we're talking about
yeah,
earlier when people
yeah,
didn't have the
that's what I said.
text.
That's
So
what I talked. That's
how
why
did
I talked
they
about
how did
chain
they
of
memorize
transmission.
it when they didn't have a text to work from, when there were variant texts? So now you're just
Chain.
going back to like this is the Muslim equivalent of apostolic succession. I believe it because I believe it. I
No,
believe it
I
because somebody
believe.
told me it came from a chain of succession, but we can't
Yeah,
even trace
because
that
it's
back to
verifiable.
Muhammad.
So,
Yeah,
so
we can.
sensational.
No, you can't.
We
Muhammad
can.
didn't write anything. So
Sensational. Can I
the
just ask a
sayings
quick
of
question?
Muhammad were written down after he already died.
No, no, no. They were written
Sensational.
down before he died.
No, they were
Yep.
not.
Sensational.
Yep.
One sec. So,
Yep.
just one sec. So, you think that Mormonism isn't true, right?
Frankly, I don't have any opinion about the other religions. I know that a lot of people think that Muslim people think that their religion is the only one that should prevail, and that we're the only true people in the world, etc.,
Okay,
etc.
let me rephrase.
No,
Do you believe that Joseph Smith was the final prophet of God?
who is Joseph Smith? I don't know who that is.
Okay, so the answer is no. You do not believe that Joseph Smith is the final
No, I believe that
the final prophet of
Muhammad,
God.
peace be upon him, was the
Right.
last prophet sent by God.
I understand that, and you don't believe that Joseph Smith was.
Yep.
However, Joseph Smith's translations, or Joseph Smith's dictation of
Mhm.
the golden, what is it, the golden tablets, the golden plates or whatever.
Yeah, the plates, yeah.
Those have been passed down unaltered for hundreds of years, like 200 years or
Yep.
so. So why shouldn't we believe that if that's the same justification you're using to encourage us to believe that the Quran is true?
Because you just said Joseph Smith's translations.
Well,
Translated
yeah,
from
he
what?
was handed them by the original Israelites, and then he translated them in the same way that Muhammad didn't get it directly from God; he got it from Gabriel, and then Muhammad told it to other people to write down.
Mhm.
So it's the same thing. It's indirectly translated, but this is as close to the original as we can get.
Muhammad got it in Arabic from Gabriel, so he wrote it down in Arabic.
No, but he didn't write it down. Somebody else did,
Hmm?
right?
Yeah,
He
they
didn't
wrote
write
it
it down.
down.
Somebody else did.
Yeah, but he spent.
Actually, I
no,
think. Hold on, I just want to verify. I think Joseph Smith actually got it in English, but I think that he wrote it down later. But I can verify that.
Yep.
I thought he got it originally from that weird language or whatever that. No,
I don't remember. I can figure it out though.
Yeah, so according to Joseph Smith, he had the tablets in Reformed Egyptian, and he had to use the seer stones and a hat over his eyes so that he can translate it into English.
Yeah, apparently, yeah, he was. So he was given the power of. Yeah, so this is actually from the church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints website. He was explicitly given the power of translation by God.
Says who?
So he didn't. He could just read it.
Yeah, but that may be true for him because, as you said again, it was a translation. So anything that has to do with translation loses its sense of authenticity. Like I think it was Justin.
Do you
Even if
believe?
God gave him the ability to translate it.
Well, I think there's a broader issue. Do you believe in the Tower of Babel? Do you know that story?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, as in like God created all these languages to confuse, right?
Is that the Christian version?
Yeah, I'm just making sure. I'm making sure that whether you accept that it was God that caused the whole concept of translation to come about, right, by creating different languages. Do you accept that?
I accept that God created humans with one common language, and then as they moved around the earth, the languages they have created their own. I don't think God created the other languages.
Okay, so you don't believe in the story, the Tower of Babel, that whole story.
I don't even know about it, but I don't think God created languages. Humans created the language.
Okay, but I don't know. Do Muslims not accept that Old Testament story
So
then?
Muslims believe in the Old Testament stories, but they believe that the text was corrupted and that their edition of the stories are the real ones. So they're just basically plagiarizing and rewriting and saying, no, they actually got it wrong. We got it right. Also, we have a new guest in here named M. M actually is an expert in this particular field of study. M, did you have anything to add to our prior discussion about the text?
Yes, the differences in the Qurans are not pronunciation. You have verses omitted, words changed. You have contradictions within the readings. Like, for example, one verse could tell you that the sun runs to its resting place. The other one says the sun runs to no resting place. That is a clear contradiction within the text. It is not a pronunciation thing.
So you just said there were contradictions, is that right?
Yes, there is, yes.
And for people like me, could you speak a little slower? Just a little bit slower. So
I apologize.
I want to
I apologize.
understand you, and I think everybody else wants to understand you. So just a little slower.
I was saying that it is not just pronunciation. There are differences within the text itself, based on the readings. And again, as I said, we gave an example that one reading says, one of the readings says, for example, in one of the verses, the sun runs to its resting place. Another reading by one of the friends of the Prophet said, or his cousin actually, it said, the sun runs to no resting place. So does it run to a resting place or does it run to no resting place?
So are you talking about the Arabic versions? Because if you can read it in Arabic,
I can read it in Arabic, yes. It is my mother's tongue.
If you can tell me that there is a contradiction in Arabic, then we can discuss on it. However, if you can tell me...
It literally says, again as I said, وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرٍ لَهَا وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لَا مُسْتَقَرٍ لَهَا. You add a letter inside, which changes it from to its resting place to no resting place.
So is it in the same verse, or did you pick two different verses?
The same verse.
Okay. Yes. Which one? Send it to me.
Let me send it to you how?
Let
me just set that up. I'm going to send it to Justin actually.
In the messages.
I'll send it to Justin once.
Yeah, let me see the messages.
Yeah, let me take a look at the messages.
Did you send it in the Discord or somewhere else, M?
I'm sending on Discord website.
Okay.
I'm only on the website like video.ninja. I don't know if I'll see the Discord message.
That's right. I can put it on the screen.
Okay.
I don't see it just yet, M.
While they're looking for that,
yeah, while they're looking, I can just answer just a little bit about some misunderstandings that people have.
I want to go back to my broad question. The thing is that why would God allow different languages if he knows that translation is inherently corruptive?
First of all, God's gave us free will so that we can all agree on all religions. God gave us free will to do basically whatever we want.
But God still prevents humans from doing things, right? So it's not that's not a problem.
If we want to talk about God can prevent this or prevent that, then we can talk about a lot of the massacres that have happened between humans and a lot of bad things that humans have done.
No, that's not why I brought it up. Wait. You're misunderstanding. I'm saying that God sometimes prevents things, sometimes allows things. One of the things that he allowed is different languages. And you're saying the fact that there's translation, right? It's an inherently corruptive feature of text, right?
Not inherently corruptive, but once
it led to the corruption of many texts, and when you translate the Quran, its meaning or its significance is diminished. Is it not?
The significance is not diminished, but you can take away the meaning, yes, but not. You cannot make it corrupted straight away. When we talk about corruption, we're literally saying, and we do believe that people have meddled with the books, meaning that they have added or modified verses. Like they did more than just translated them. They completely modified the source and modified, like even if you modify one word, if you believe strongly in the text and believe that it was sent from God, it was descended from God, then modifying
what I'm asking is, I have an English translation of the Quran. Is that just as good as the Arabic?
No, it will never be just as good.
Okay,
because
so then, is that a problem?
It's not a problem if you want to learn and you mix that translation with the correct Arabic meaning. You need to learn both if you want to read the true Quran and understand the true Quran and what the true message is. You need to do two things: learn Arabic and learn its meaning.
That sounds like a barrier.
Well, it's a barrier for people who do not want to learn. But
Okay,
people
a barrier for people that don't have the means or time to learn Arabic.
Well, I mean, if you're trying to understand a religion, if you're trying to understand physics without learning about all the basics, then I can say that. Like, you've just talked about the Coriolis effect and the ISS, etc. I'm not a physics guy. I find it hard to. I found like some of the principles
But
that
you don't need to learn physics to get right with God, right?
No, but like if I want to understand and participate in your debate about the Coriolis effect and the flat Earth and whatnot, I need to learn basic physics, right?
But you understand what I just said, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, God is, in order to know God and to get, I guess, have a chance at salvation or something like it, right? You have to know Arabic.
Nope.
Okay, so what's the point of learning Arabic?
The point of learning Arabic is to understand the Quran and understand, like this guy, I think it was his name, just pointed out a contradiction, and Justin talked about the different translation, Hafs and Warsh. You need to learn Arabic to debate about specific subjects about the Quran. But
Do you know Arabic, Sensational?
I know Arabic, but I don't know the Arabic. Like, there are different kinds of Arabic. It's like you have dialects.
So the point is the Arabic that you know is irrelevant for this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so then why are you having this conversation if you just said that you need to know a particular type of Arabic in order to understand and debate it?
Yeah. It's weird.
What do you mean?
Well, you just said that in order to have a debate about this, you have to know, the specific kind of Arabic that was...
No, about a debate about the specific contradiction.
So you don't know the right type of Arabic. So why are you questioning M here?
Also, I've got the contradiction. It's on the screen right now if you guys want to see it. So one translation reads, "The sun runs to its stable." It's got the Arabic and the English. And the other one says, "And the sun runs, there is no stable for it." Am I interpreting this correctly, M? I don't know if M's actually with us. But he sent me the two different versions, and they're indeed different Arabic.
Yeah.
Okay, so if M's not here, let me understand. So suppose I read the Quran in English, and you're saying that there are cases where it legitimately looks like a contradiction, but it can be resolved if you look at the Arabic.
Yeah, but the contradictions are never going to be so strong that it makes the whole book invalid. And the translation, sometimes it will just be about like little subjects and nothing that will make like the entire book invalidated from like one sentence that was translated differently.
It gets embryology wrong. Don't you think that's fundamental to like the understanding of humans?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm sorry. Isn't there a verse in the Quran that says don't something along the lines of "Don't believe it if you can find even one flaw"?
I think there is something similar to that.
So if we find one contradiction, then you shouldn't believe it.
Well, you shouldn't believe it if you find a contradiction.
Nobody should believe it. It even tells you not to believe it if you can find a contradiction.
Yeah, but you did find it. I did not find it yet. Like, I'm currently in the process of studying like the language and the Quran.
Didn't you just say that even if there's one contradiction, that doesn't disprove the whole thing?
Contradiction in the translation, not in the original language. We're talking about translations here.
Yeah, but
like I haven't found one person who could point me like a contradiction in the original language. Like something that was written down like a passage that was written about something. And
but you're willing to say that the translations look contradictory.
Some of the translation, yeah, I've read some pretty bad translations.
Okay, but like the one, like I have the Quran over there. I don't know what version it is. I don't know how much it matters. But like the Quran that I have on my bookshelf over there, you're saying that you wouldn't be surprised if they're like at least prima facie or at a glance contradictions, or
you will never have like a contradiction again that will invalidate something entirely. Like the contradiction may be about a specific
That's not what I'm
subject.
asking, though. I'm
The
asking that
sunrise
if
is here,
someone were to
everything.
open and read through my Quran, my English
Yeah,
Quran, is there anything that's going to look like a contradiction?
there can be, yeah, it's
Oh, okay,
possible
okay,
if it's a translation, yeah.
okay. And you're
And again,
saying,
I was like I stated earlier that to understand the Quran, we needed two things, and I only got to say the first one. And I see all the comments insulting me or calling me a dumb. Or first of all, I have a language barrier, so it's difficult to get my real point across. And second of
Don't
all,
read
I'm
the
not here
comments.
to contradict anyone. Like everyone has their beliefs. I believe that Christian people have their beliefs. Atheists, I'm good with everyone. Otherwise, I would not have joined this podcast. But the thing is, I'm only here to understand why, in major discussions like this, we don't have the Quran or the Hadith that are mentioned. That's it. So
Do
to
you
go
think
back
that
on my
women
second point,
are like you need 2 female witnesses to be equal to 1 male witness?
let me just finish my point and I'll answer this. So the second thing to answer, to understand the Quran fully, you need the Hadith. And then again, we go back to the first discussion about the credible Hadith and the non-credible ones. So it's a whole process. I've been learning it for like years, 2 or 3 years now, and we've only gotten past like one chapter to
Yeah,
understand it fully
but to
and to get the
Danny's
essence.
point, your religion keeps getting more and more complicated. First, in order to know what's really in the text, you have to know Arabic.
Mhm.
In order to know which hadiths are true, you have to have a whole history of narration of different scholars, and some people trust some scholars and some people trust other scholars. And so, like,
Yeah.
it just seems overly complicated. If I can't just go to Hadith and know if the Hadith is trustworthy, what's the point in having the Hadith? I mean, presumably, if I read you a bunch of Hadiths that you don't like, you're just going to say that they're untrustworthy. Like when it says in
No,
the Hadith that you can cure sciatica pain by eating the fat from a Bedouin sheep tail, you're just going to say, well, that obviously isn't true because you don't like what it says.
absolutely not. I would just tell you about who reported it and ask you about what book you found it, and then make my research about is this person credible or not first. Do they have like an authority as a scholar? And then where do they have their proof?
Are
Like
the
how
Hadiths
did
from Aisha true?
it, like again, Aisha was alive at that time, so it's not a hadith from her, it's a hadith from someone who reported it that was from her.
Sure.
So
Are they
someone
trustworthy?
wrote it.
Wait a minute.
Hmm?
I thought that these were all. I thought that the chain of the chain of understanding and the chain of
Mhm.
who was transmitting it. I thought that was perfectly known. You don't know who transmitted
Yeah,
Aisha's hadith?
it depends who. Like there was not only one person. Like I have a
Oh,
book of
okay.
hadith in front of me. It's by one author. Then you have a book of hadith from another author. Like I can cite you one author right now who is considered to be credible. He's called Ibn Kathir. So
This
IBN Kathir, Kathir. So he is a scholar that is regarded in the 4 schools of Islam as one of the most truthful hadith scholars.
right, but
You have
but yeah, I don't
who
think you're
also
really addressing what we're laying down here, which is that you're picking and choosing which scholars you like. I know other Muslims that
no, no,
would
no,
say
no, no. It's not about me
I would
personally.
say
It's about consensus.
I would say there are other Muslims who trust different scholars than you. And there are some Muslims who say that none of the hadiths should be on the same level of truthfulness as the Quran. So your religion is actually fractured. You want us to believe your specific version of Islam. Do you understand the problem?
No, the thing is, when you say that other Muslims believe other scholars, it's totally untrue. We all believe the same scholars.
No, it's
Like
not true because I
there's a
know Muslims
consensus.
who believe in all of the hadiths.
It cannot possibly exist, or they're
They
misinformed
literally
because
do
there's
exist. So you're just giving a no true Scotsman for other Muslims. There are other Muslims who don't believe any of the hadiths should be trusted.
but
So
I said it's not
so
like
again, you're just saying that you're the only true Muslim. The way you're doing it is the only
no, no,
right
no,
way
no, no, no.
to do
Not
it.
my way. I'm
And
going by
the
the
hadith
consensus.
that I was going
again.
to refer to earlier is from Sahih al-Bukhari. Is that trustworthy?
See, you're making it personal. It's not about me. It's about the consensus. The thing is, the difference
How do you
between
measure
Islam and
consensus?
the consensus is measured with, again, the schools of scholars that we have, the four schools that we have.
No, how do you
the
measure
four
consensus?
The consensus is measured with the understanding of the four schools. The four
No, what
schools.
methodology do you use to measure consensus? Like if we did a consensus among biblical scholars, somebody would make a tally.
Mhm.
They would literally interview biblical scholars and make a tally to see how many believed and who believed what. What's your methodology for knowing what the Muslim consensus is?
They reunite scholars of the four schools, as I have been repeating since the beginning, and the four schools who are basically different, and the four schools present different scholars, they agree or disagree on specific things. And then we as Muslims, for
But
example,
that's not how consensus works. I'm asking you for the methodology. Are they polling them? Are they taking a survey? What are they doing?
like I told you conferences. I said the word
didn't say
conferences. They have conferences with the different scholars, and there have been these conferences that were held since maybe like the beginning of the spread of the religion, and they have a
Why are there a bunch
consensus
of ex-Muslims in the comments saying that you're lying?
well, it's Googleable. You can Google it right now.
Right,
If I'm
so
not saying the
I
truth.
asked you earlier, is Sahih al-Bukhari trustworthy?
Al-Bukhari, yeah, he's mostly trustworthy.
Mostly
Most people
trustworthy.
consider-
How do you know
Yeah.
the parts that are trustworthy and the ones that are not trustworthy?
Because the hadith again are it's not an entire book that is going to be validated. Some hadith are going to be considered credible, some hadith are going to be considered strongly credible, others it will depend. But
Okay,
like
so
you told me
when he
that my
talks
religion
about
is
how
complicated.
Aisha was playing with dolls when she was a little girl married to Muhammad, is that trustworthy?
That could be trustworthy if it's
Okay. Do you
validated by
believe
the
that
force.
Muhammad married a 6-year-old and consummated at age 9?
The ages vary from different sources that I've read so far, but it could be possible. I would not be surprised.
Sure. Do you think it's okay that the country of Iraq is lowering the age of marriage to 9 for little girls?
Can you remind me of the consent age in some of the states in America not too long ago?
I don't have a record of what they were, but also as a whataboutism, if they were age 9 in the United States, I would say that that's probably inappropriate as well. So whataboutism doesn't actually help you here. So it was actually a yes or no question, and for some reason you didn't give a yes
So
or no.
do I believe
So my
what they're
question
doing
is whether
right
or
now
not you
today
think
is
it's a
okay?
good thing that they're lowering the age of marriage to 9.
Absolutely not, because you need to live with
Okay.
your time.
So it's not good. Okay, so when Muhammad married a 6-year-old and consummated at age 9, that was bad.
I was expecting this question. So you're comparing a
You
situation
should
that
expect
happened.
this, yes.
Yeah, you're comparing a situation that happened for 1400 years ago to
Was it
our
okay 1400 years ago?
I don't know. Did we live?
Is,
You don't
is
know.
Were we
marrying
alive
a
1400
9-year-old?
years ago?
Is
Were
marrying a
we alive?
6-year-old ever okay?
So was this practice not like?
Was it okay? I'm not
Hmm?
asking. Yes, maybe it was common.
You're
Was it
asking
okay?
me about my belief as a man
Yes.
who lives in 2025 to judge somebody like and their practice from another country. I'm not Saudi. I'm not a Saudi from Saudi Arabia,
Is
and from another
is
country to justify it. So
shouldn't God's chosen prophet be a paragon of virtue?
he does not have only one chosen prophet like Abraham
God's
and
final chosen prophet,
yeah.
let's say. Shouldn't he be a paragon of virtue?
It would depend on your criteria of what virtue is. Virtue is not today what
hold
it
on.
was 50
I'm
years
sorry.
ago.
Are morals objective or subjective?
Give me an example of what you understand by objective and subjective.
Well, I'm not a moral realist. I'm actually like some sort of moral subjectivist or something. But presumably, you believe that all morals come from Allah, correct?
Nope, all morals come from humans. The teachings and the rules come from God. Yeah, but do we apply
okay.
them as is? Do we follow exactly?
So
No.
has Allah sent a commandment, a law that you shouldn't sleep with 9-year-olds?
What do you mean?
Is there such a law?
He sent a commandment, a law about consent. And
Can 9-year-olds consent?
today a 9-year-old does not have consent. So Iraq is doing something wrong, clearly. They have
Could
a
9-year-olds consent 1400 years ago?
What? Can you repeat the question? I did not hear it. Sorry.
Could 9-year-olds consent 1400 years ago?
Were you alive to see it? To understand the
asking
difference
you.
in
I'm
maturity?
asking you.
I don't know.
Do you think that 9-year-olds were capable of consent 1400 years ago?
I don't know. But the whole point is that we don't know the mentalities back then. Some people, some scholars, some historians will talk about the people were more mature back then because the mortality rate was lower. So, like, you have a lot of points. But the thing is, you're using this one point against Muslims. Like, I was prepared to face this one point when I was taught when
I don't think you're very
Damn it.
prepared because, like in the history of the narrations, didn't Muhammad refuse to have his daughter married off because she was too young?
Where?
Are you saying that never happened?
I don't know.
It was to Abu Bakr, wasn't it?
Where is your source?
I'm asking you. Do you believe that happened?
I don't know if it happened or not, so I cannot believe if it happened or not.
You don't know this narration? You're unaware of it?
Yep.
I think you're lying. I never.
I've even heard of it.
Yeah, I never believe Muslims
Why
when I
would
bring
I
this stuff
lie
up and they're like,
about
"Oh,
something
golly
like
gee,
this?"
I've never actually heard of that before." Yeah,
Me neither. Why would I lie? Why would I lie
the
about
amount
it?
of Muslims that get up here and lie is wild to me.
See, the thing is, you say the amount of Muslims that come up here and lie just because we don't have a rebuttal for one of your specific
It
points.
was
Like you have a
narrated by
computer,
Abdullah bin Barada.
Justin. You have a computer in front of you. I have a water bottle in
Yeah,
front
but
of
this
you.
is
So
your
everything
religion.
that I talk about,
I don't.
everything that I talk. Yeah, everything that I talk.
I don't need a computer in front of me when I talk about the religion that I grew up in. You shouldn't need a computer for that. You should just know it. You're the one claiming that, like, you have knowledge of which hadiths are authentic and which ones aren't. So the narration I'm referring to is from Abdullah bin Barada. Do you know this one?
See, you're putting words in my mouth. I never said that I know what hadith are true or not because it's not a question
about.
about.
Answer the question. Are you aware of the
I'm gonna
narration
answer the
from
question, but
Abdullah bin Barada? Are you aware of this narration?
You are putting words in my mouth. I never said.
I'm asking you if you are aware of the narration from Abdullah bin Dara where he says that Muhammad refused to give his daughter away to one of his fellow men because she was too young. Are you aware of it?
And I tell you, I'm not aware of that information, of that narration. Nope.
Okay.
And you're gonna say, yeah, I'm lying, but it's not the point because you pointed me out. You try to show that I said that I know everything about everything. I just proved to you, first of all, I do not know everything about the religion. I am still a student.
Let's put the wait. Let's just put the problem this way.
Yeah.
Do you think Muhammad consummated a marriage with a child or an adult?
Well, if the narrations are correct about the age, then at 9 you are still a child. Yeah.
Okay, so you believe he consummated a marriage with a child?
If the narration is correct, yeah. There has been a lot of debates even among Muslims about the age.
Do you think the narration is correct?
I don't know about the specific narration. Like, you guys focus on this point of history.
Okay.
We focus on other points. So I did not spend 3 years studying. I mean, I'm not here to look up points here and there. I'm here to just, like, my original question.
Okay, despite whatever you believe, you understand how we feel about this, right? Like, you understand that. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying that, look, if you're saying something like, for all I know, a prophet of God consummated a marriage with a child, that might have happened, right? Everyone, you know what we're going to call him, right? I'm not, a PDF file, right?
Yeah,
now, what Muslims typically do is they say that he didn't consummate a marriage with a child, right? And so I'm surprised why you don't take that view.
First of all, because I'm not a hypocrite. Because a lot of people are going to say that, no, he did not do this, and they've never researched the subject, or a lot of people will come up and debate about things that they do not know about. And that's a problem with the Muslim community nowadays, is that they want to have a rebuttal for every single thing that atheists or people who dislike Islam and think that it's a fake religion, people want to have a rebuttal for every single one of their arguments. I'm here saying I do not know about the narration that Justin previously used, and I'm only explaining, like, how you can get to understand our narrations in our holy book. I'm not here to argue about is this true or do I believe this, because I do not have the necessary knowledge. And Justin, you just said that I said that I believe some of the hadith are true or false. It's not that I personally believe this. It's about the consensus, and that people often get it wrong, is that we have consensuses, we have conferences where scholars gather up and talk about this narration is true or this narration is less likely to be true because of the the chain of transmission was meddled with. That's it. I'm not here to tell you you guys are wrong and I'm right. I'm here to try to make
What are
people
the names of the
understand.
conferences? What do they call them?
Hmm?
What do they call the conference? Because
The
I keep
name of
hearing,
the-
I keep seeing Muslims in chat saying that's not true. There are no conferences. So, what are the
There are
names
no
of the conferences?
conferences. Yeah. I don't. They don't have like. I don't have the names right now, but I've participated in one in Saudi Arabia in Mecca,
What's it called?
and they have like. I don't know. It's just
You don't.
like a
You went
teaching
to a
group.
conference and you don't know what it's called.
No.
Wild.
Like I don't know if it has a name for every single conference, but yeah, I don't.
Conferences have names. Yes, they do.
Do you think that
In your words,
Muhammad
in the
rode
American world,
a flying
yeah.
horse
I don't live in America.
and split the
Hmm?
moon in two?
Or whatever you live in. But if you've never been to, let me just change rule. If you've never been to an actual Arabic conference about between the scholars, you cannot tell me that it's wild that they don't have a name for it. Like
I never
they
said they
do have
didn't. I'm
conferences.
questioning why you don't know the name of the conference you went to.
Because it was in Saudi Arabia, and it was not the purpose of my
Are the
of my trip.
conferences in
And
Arabic?
yeah,
Arabic is your mother tongue?
nope.
What's your mother tongue?
I had a translator with me. It was like a tour. We have a
you
guide,
and a
and he
translator. You have to bring a
translates
translator to the
most of the
conference?
difficult parts. No, it's not me. We were in a group. It's like we were doing all. It's like it's not a pilgrimage. It's sort of, you can sort of consider it as a pilgrimage. It's called Umrah, and you basically go to Saudi Arabia to perform a small pilgrimage, and then you can assist. No, you can participate in some of the conferences that are inside the mosque.
Cool.
But you need a translator because my mother tongue is not Arabic, nor is it English. So yeah, you need a translation for most of the things that are said.
Cool. Do you think that Muhammad flew on a flying animal and split the moon in two?
Split the moon in two?
Yeah.
No, I know he flew on a flying animal to go and meet with the prophets in the different heavens. Yeah.
Yeah, and you think that he split the moon in two or no?
I don't know about the specific subject.
Well, the hadith says that he split the
You
moon
should.
in two.
I don't even think that's hadith. I think that's literally in the Quran.
It kind of alludes to it in the Quran, but it's a
No,
little
it's
bit
not, it's
vague.
not in the, it's not in the Quran. Like the voyage, the trip, the journey that he made is strictly found in the hadith. It's not in the Quran.
Sorry, Surah Al-Qamar, 54, verse 1.
What do you mean?
Surah Al-Qamar.
Yeah, the night.
Let me just
Yeah, this is just in the Quran. It's not a hadith.
verse 54. You said.
Yeah, 54.
No, it's the 50. No, it's verse 1 in the
Verse
54th book, if you will.
Okay.
It's in Surah Al. What is it? Sorry, Surah Al. I saw it somewhere. Al-Qamar.
Yeah, it says that
the
the
first
moon was
verses.
split.
Yeah.
Hour
Was
has
drawn near and the moon was split in two.
in two.
It's on the screen right now. Hold on, let me get rid of the
Yeah,
sidebar.
yeah, I see it. I have it. So the hour has drawn near and the moon was split in two.
So you believe
Where
that?
does it say that Muhammad split the moon in two?
So that's where the.
Do you believe that the moon was ever split in two?
No, but did it say that the moon was split in two?
Yeah,
Those are the words.
yeah. The
Yeah,
hour.
Yes.
The
The
hour
hour
has
has
drawn
now
near.
drawn near. I'm sorry. The hour has drawn near, and the moon was split in two. What it says.
Okay, let me just look at.
And according to the narration in the hadiths, it was Muhammad that caused the moon to be split in two, and there were many witnesses.
Let me just.
But
check.
regardless of who caused it, the claim
Yeah.
is that it did happen.
How long
It's
have you
in the
been a
past
Muslim?
tense.
How long have you been a Muslim?
So, from the narration that we have in our tafhim is like the understanding of the Quran. Of
I
the
know
Quran.
it's very
It's not
inconvenient
about
to answer
Muhammad.
questions, but Danny did just ask you a question.
Yeah, I know, but I'm answering the question. Do I believe? You just said that
My
it was
my, my
before that.
question is quick. How long have you been a Muslim?
I've been a Muslim my whole life,
Okay.
but I've only been studying for 3 or 4 years. So everything that I used to do before is basically just the minor obligations, such as the prayer and
Okay.
everything. But
Okay.
you just
That's
said
fine.
that the narration about this particular verse said that Muhammad was the one that split the moon in two. And in the book of the Tafhim, so basically the understanding, the true narration of this verse is that the splitting of the moon is basically a sign of the last times of the earth, basically a sign of the end of the world. So has not yet happened. It's basically the
Why is
mentioning
it
of
in
the sign
past
that will
tense?
happen.
Why is it in past tense then? It says the moon was split in two.
Again, it's a translation. So it could be in the past tense, or it could be in the future tense. It's a translation. You have the tafhim. Tafhim is basically the understanding of the verse, and in this understanding of the verse, it doesn't even mention Muhammad. Like I can send you the link right now. You
It
just
doesn't. It
need,
doesn't. It doesn't matter who caused it. The question is, has the moon ever been in two?
according to the tafhim, so the understanding, it is a sign of the end of the world. So
I don't.
it
I'm just
obviously
asking what the
doesn't
text
happen yet.
says. What does the text say?
What do you mean the text? Which text?
The
The
Quran.
narration? Because you talked. So
Yes.
okay, so when you want to prove a point, you use the narration, but when I want to prove a point, you don't let me use the narration.
Well, look. So this is. So is there a verse that says that it was a sign of times to come and it didn't actually happen yet?
So let me go back then to the thing that I was trying to say from like 10 minutes ago when I told you about the
Well, I just
two
want
things
I
that
want to
you
make
need
sure
to
you understand what
understand.
Blitz is saying
See,
here.
you don't,
The
so
what
that's the fifth time I want to get this.
I want to make sure you're understanding what Dr. Blitz is saying to you. What the Quran says is the most important thing, right? The narration that comes outside of the Quran would be secondary to the Quran. So Dr. Blitz is asking a very important question here is let's look at what the Quran says first, and then what does it actually mean? And then you can go to your scholars or your narration or your hadiths and say, okay, well, how do they interpret it? Because as it turns out, I think words have meanings. Do you agree? Do you guys think that words have meanings?
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, so we want to talk first about what the words on the page mean, and then you can talk about what your scholars think about it.
Right, so I'm just going to start by making the second point that I did not get to make. You need two things to understand the Quran. First is the Arabic language, because we can sit here and debate about
We've
the
already
past
gone over
tense.
this.
Yeah. And the second thing that you need is the tafsir or tafhim.
Glad
Tafsir
you
is
mentioned that.
basically,
I've got it on the screen right now. You want to read it with me?
I don't see it.
The tafsir says in the narration of Abdullah bin Abbas, al-Bukhari recorded that Ibn Abbas said the moon was split during the time of the Prophet. Al-Bukhari and Muslim collected this hadith. So we've got narrations that say from the tafsir that the moon was split during the time of Muhammad.
Okay, about this particular verse that you just quoted from Surah Al-Qamar?
Yeah, this is the tafsir from the Quran website on the verse we just read.
Okay, read it again or send me the link so I can look at it at the same time because I don't see it.
I'll put it on the screen right now. It's the narration of Abdullah bin Abbas. And it says, al-Bukhari recorded that Ibn Abbas said the moon was split during the lifetime of the Prophet.
I don't see it on the app. I think it's on the YouTube. I only see your camera. I don't see the thing that is written.
If you can't see the screen, I apologize. I don't know what to tell you. But if you just go to the passage we were reading in 54, verse 1, and go to the tafsir on the Quran website, that's one of the narrations given in the tafsir.
Let me just check with you.
Are we just going to argue about
Yeah.
correct translations?
I am
Because,
on the website, literally Quran.com, and
it says the moon. Do you think that these translations are wrong because all 6 of them use the past tense to refer to the moon being split in 2?
I only see that it is a sign of doomsday, basically.
Okay, but why do 5? Sorry, why do
And
5 of
then
the 6?
Yep, and then I just
Go ahead, Dr. Blood. Say that again.
Why do 5 of the 6 translations use the past tense, and 1 of the 6 translations uses the present tense, and none of them use the future tense?
I just saw what you're talking about. So yeah, the prophet, he split the moon in 2 pieces, then he rejoined them. The
Where does it
miracles
say that?
is the Quran.com website, the one
does
that
say
No,
that.
where does it say in the Quran that he rejoined them?
It's in the
it says in the tafsir. It said in the narration.
Yeah.
It's in the
Okay, but it doesn't say that in the Quran,
third.
right?
The Quran does not even mention him splitting the moon. The first
Right,
verse.
but so where are they getting the idea that he brought them back together?
Let me check.
You have to add that to the text. When the text doesn't make sense, then you just add a narration to fix the problem.
So your question was, where did they get that he rejoined them?
Yeah, where does that come from? Where
That comes from
where did
the
the
prophet
narration come
himself.
from?
It comes from the prophet himself. So if the narration completes what the verse says, like 99% of the narrations come from the prophet himself. He adds comments to basically explain some of the things that are written in the Quran to make sure that people understand the context behind them. So the first understanding is that it's a sign of doomsday, and the second thing is he actually did it during his journey, and he rejoined them. So that's where the
So
narration
he
comes.
split it and then rejoined it, according to the narration, although in the Quran it just says that it was split, right?
So that's what I said. When you read
Now-
it, you need to read with the
so
narration.
do you
with the
think-
tafsir also to
So
understand?
do you
fully.
think that this historically happened? Do you think that this is true?
Well, yeah. If it's reported so, then yes.
Okay. Do you think that we'd
Just-
be able to tell by looking at the moon, by measuring it, by, would we be able to see the duct tape holding the 2 halves of the moon together?
Do you think he used duct tape in 600?
I was joking a little bit, but do you think it, like, I guess you assume it was just magic and it'd be impossible to tell that it ever happened, right?
Well, you mentioned magic. It has nothing to do with magic if you're religious. If you're religious, you just believe the miracles that happened as they happened. For example, in the Quran, we have
that's what
plenty
magic
of
is.
verses about what Prophet Moses did. For example,
Yes,
when
that's
he
magic.
used his stick. For example, with Prophet Jesus, with Prophet Abraham, etc.,
Yes, you're
etc.
describing magic.
Yeah, it's not necessarily magic when you talk about divine powers.
When it's your religion, it's always true. When it's somebody else's religion, it's always magic.
When Christians mentioned the same thing about Moses, I never said it's magic. Same thing about Abraham. Same thing about Jewish people.
Yeah, you guys
It's not
believe in the
magic.
flood, right?
Was there some mechanistic way that the moon was glued back together?
What's the word that you just used? Sorry.
Mechanistic. Have some sort of natural explanation.
I don't know about it. If there is one.
Okay, so if there's not a natural explanation, the only alternative is a supernatural explanation. And the word that we use to describe supernatural actions in the physical world is magic.
Not necessarily for everything.
I do want to say that some religious people want to just, magic is like basically immoral supernatural stuff.
Ah, okay.
So they don't want to say God does magic because there's like a moral connotation there. But
Because magic is evil.
right.
Not
There's miracles and
necessarily.
there's magic. Got it.
Not
Well, if
necessarily.
it's not evil, then I don't. Look, I tried to help you there. If you're not saying magic is like understood as immoral, like sorcery, magic, these are supposed to be immoral things under the Abrahamic traditions. If you're saying that it's not built into the idea that it's immoral, then Blitz, I don't see why Blitz's criticism.
It's immoral if like
To be
people
fair, it was just
nowadays
rhetorical
use it.
criticism.
They try to use it. But some prophets have used magic, and some prophets have used
You don't want
divine
to say
power.
that. Look, I know enough about your tradition to where you don't want to say that your prophets use magic, right? Because remember, magic has.
I just said it. Like a second ago.
So
Prophet
since
Solomon, for example, we believe that he knew magic and he knew how to talk to animals and jinns and whatsoever and whatnot.
sensational. So
Yep.
and this is kind of zooming out a lot. Is
Sorry?
your belief in the God that you believe in, is it predicated solely on what it says in the Quran and perhaps the narrations as well? Or do you have some independent reason for believing that this is the case?
Well, each of us have various reasons why we believe and don't believe. Some people believe just because they were educated, instructed to believe. Some people believe
I don't care
because they
about
were...
why other people believe. I'm asking you.
Oh, my personal... Well, first, I thought I believed because it was just... Like, again, I was born Muslim. So the first half of my life, or more than half, until I started studying, I just did things because you were supposed to do them. So basically, you could
Sure.
say I was
So
a blind follower. But then, as I read...
do you believe now for some external reason, or just because the book says so?
For external reasons and the book.
Okay, what are the external reasons?
The external reasons are personal events that I've lived through and that I've experienced. Death, for example, is one of the events that strengthened my
You've died?
connection. No, someone very close to me died in front of me. So in that moment, some things happened that basically comforted me in my beliefs. The trip... yeah,
Do
sorry?
you think that there are any natural explanations or non-supernatural explanations for any of the experiences that you've had?
Yeah, there are, but that's the point. Nothing is going to be supernatural.
So you and I both agree that natural things happen.
Yep.
Why, given an agnostic worldview, meaning that you don't hold one belief or the other, but you do know that natural things are possible, why would you then prefer to believe things that are that you don't know to be possible, but reject the explanations that you do know to be possible?
Okay, what makes the natural occurrences possible?
Well, presumably you and I both agree that the natural world exists, and the natural world has certain causative things that can happen. For example, we know that, if you don't drink a lot of water for a few days, you will hallucinate, right? So that's like a natural cause for certain things that you might see. You could attribute that to jinns or a divine entity, but the natural explanation, if you were to go a few days without water, would be, oh, you're wildly dehydrated, right? So you and I both know that natural explanations are very good explanations generally. So why are you rejecting the possible natural explanations, given that you know natural explanations are possible, but you don't know whether or not supernatural explanations are possible?
Okay, just repeat the question so that I can understand it fully.
So for any given experience that you have, there are natural explanations and supernatural explanations. You and I and everybody on this earth has a preconceived idea that natural explanations are at least possible. Now, if you start off agnostic, you shouldn't have this preconceived idea that supernatural explanations are possible. And yet, when you have this experience, you automatically assume that it has a supernatural explanation rather than a natural explanation, which means that you're doing motivated reasoning because you already have a preference for believing that the supernatural explanation must take precedence over the possible natural explanation.
Not entirely true. When you talk so I'm just gonna recap what you just said in one sentence. You told me that I would choose the supernatural explanation over the natural one, just because it fits my religious beliefs. That's what you basically just asked me.
Well, that's the only reason I can figure that you would reject the possible natural explanation for your experiences.
But when I never rejected the natural explanation. The natural explanation was that the person was sick. The person in that case had cancer for the second time. So the natural causes that led to this person's death are totally explainable and totally normal. There is no supernatural explanation that will explain the person's death. But the circumstances around it and the before and after, like my relationship with that person before she was gone, etc., have They do not have an explanation, but in the teachings that I've been taught, it can make my beliefs stronger. Like, it's not, I believe that everything that happened to this person was natural, 100%. Nothing supernatural happened. And if any religious person tells you that they have a supernatural explanation for something, it's untrue. We as humans do not perceive whatever supernatural thing may happen because, first, we are not prophets. The prophets are the ones who knew about the supernatural explanations of things. We do not know how things work. We have our explanations. We have the natural explanations. You have a doctor that comes up to you and tells you, all right, you have a cancer, you have a lymphoma, and you have something in your lungs. He does not have a supernatural explanation for it. Either you had a genetic predisposition, to have that in your body, or you did not. But
I think
the
you're
supernatural
misunderstanding my
thing,
criticism here.
yeah.
So my
Just
point
rephrase
is
it, sorry.
that
Might
you
be
said that
language
you,
issue.
it might be. You said that the reason why you have the beliefs that you have is
Mhm.
twofold. There's the book, and then there's also these personal experiences that you had. Now,
Yep.
disregarding the book, because the book can't really be self-asserting or can't really be self-proving, right? We're kind of left with some external or some external evidence or external reason why you believe this thing. So we go and we look at what those external reasons are. Now, you had such and such an experience. You didn't tell us
Yep.
what the experience is. That's fine. You don't have to tell us. Whatever the experience is, it's going to have, almost every experience will have multiple possible explanations. But if this is the reason you believe, you wouldn't have first accepted the supernatural explanation without first considering and then rejecting, for some reason, the possible natural explanations.
Well, I do not. I never accepted any supernatural explanation for anything that
So
happens.
then how does this convince you to believe if there's no supernatural
Because
explanation
fact
that
that-
caused some event?
the fact that it was natural, what you're talking about, the fact that you talk about the natural explanation, who created the premises for this natural explanation to exist? For example, if we talk about the death of a person and
So
cancer, etc.
sensational. You
Where
have
was
to
it
you have
done?
to come at this. So if you're being honest here, you have to come at this as an agnostic. So come at the experience that you had with no preconceived notion as to what's true about a god or many gods or no gods
Yeah.
existing. You come
Let's
at it
just
with
talk
no
about
preconceived
nature.
notions.
Mhm.
If that's the case, then no experience that you have should point you, no experience with possible natural explanations should point you to something that you don't have any reason to expect exists, right? If you're genuinely agnostic and you have some experience, that should lead you to, I mean, unless you're agreeing that you can be convinced of things even if they're not rational, which maybe that's what you're agreeing to, unless you're agreeing that, unless you have some way of ruling out some natural explanation for whatever beliefs you're coming to, whatever experiences you're having, I don't see how you then conclude that actually this is evidence for, this is a reason why you believe.
Well,
Was it just like a feeling that somebody got sick and then that made you think that there's a God?
no. It's about, like I said, the natural reasons, the natural causes of the thing happening. If you take
So
out
to
the
be
religious,
clear,
you take
are
out
you
the
saying
super,
that the fact that there's a natural way of things means that there's a supernatural way of things?
not necessarily supernatural way of things, but the fact that there is a natural way of things, and the fact that there is a way, means that there was a start. How did this way
Okay,
exist
so
in the first
the
place?
reason you believe in God is because look at the trees.
Yep. What I heard.
Well, you're basically dumbing it down and making it sound like very idiotic.
Yes.
Yes,
But
it's
your argument is
reductio.
there is order in the world, therefore I think that there is an order maker.
That's mainly my main argument, and probably the main argument
Wait, would
of
you
every
accept
other
the?
religious person.
I'm curious. Would you accept the inference that because I see a lot of disorder in the world, there's no God? Would you accept that inference?
Well, when we talk about order, do we talk about societal
Look,
order, or do we talk
here.
about
How about you
nature?
just say yes or no, and then you can explain. So, would you accept the inference that if
It depends what type of order, because if you talk about natural
disorder,
order,
I'm talking about disorder, right? So there's natural order and there's actual a lot of natural disorder, right?
yeah,
Okay, so if I say there's a lot of disorder, whether natural or whatever, okay, therefore no God, do you accept that inference?
what would you classify as a natural
Look,
disorder?
just do you accept the? You can say I don't know. That's fine.
No, I want to. I want to understand the question before I answer. What would
Okay.
you classify as a natural disorder?
Whatever you take as order, negate it.
Okay. So
Okay.
basically,
So because I see a lot of disorderly things, therefore no God, do you accept that inference?
absolutely not.
No, but you accept the inference because there's order, there's God.
Not necessarily, not necessarily order, but the existence of the thing that makes the order order or disorder. Because when you talk about natural disorder, in my language, I don't like. I think
I
about
don't know what you're talking
floods.
about
I
right
think
now.
about volcanoes. I think about, and we talk about natural order, then it means a peaceful stream of water with fish and like. What are you? Give me specifics so that I
Sensational.
can.
The point that's being made is, and I'll just clarify just to,
Mhm.
yeah. The point that's being made is something like, if you see X, whatever X might be in the world, and that leads you to conclude that there exists a God. If you saw the opposite of X, would that lead you to conclude that there isn't a God?
Not necessarily, because the presence of
Then
X.
that means that your justification is not a good justification. The
And
way that
what
we
would
come to
you-
beliefs is we basically have some essentially like a prediction. At least this is how a rational person comes to beliefs. They have some prediction given a belief. So if X is true, then Y must be the case. Then you go out and you look at the world, and then you see Y is the case. That gives you reason to believe that X is true. On the other hand, if X is true and Y, that would mean that Y is the case, but then you go out into the world and see that Y is actually not the case, that should give you reason to think that X isn't true. But it seems like what you're saying is that if I see X in the world, that means God is real. But if you don't see X in the world, that doesn't mean that God isn't real. So you're not actually using a good reasoning method here to come to some sort of belief system. It must stem from something deeper.
So we were talking about natural causes, natural occurrences, right? So that's the basis of this. We talk about nature. So basically, we've talked about cancer, the person dying, death, all of these things. If you tell me if X is true, then Y should be true, and if X is not true, then Y should be not true. Therefore, I should not believe in God. If we talk about natural occurrences, then you tell me if I, for example, burn this plant, it will be burnt. If it's not burnt, then that means God doesn't exist. Did I
No, I think
understand your
No, I
analogy
don't think
correct?
you're understanding at all.
you're not tracking. So look, all I'm saying is that if you have the reason why people say there's order, therefore, or the existence of order points to the existence of God is because they have this notion that if a God exists, then it's likely that that God would make an orderly world. And if no God exists, then it's likely that the world would not be orderly. So if they go out into the world and they see order, then that gives them some reason to believe that there is a God. That's the line of reasoning.
Yeah, use an analogy. If I say, oh, healthy people, therefore God, why couldn't you say, oh, a lot of unhealthy people, therefore not God? Do you understand?
Yeah. Okay. Now I understand better. When you talk about order, you do not necessarily talk about natural order. Like
No.
so
That was an
when you talk
analogy
about,
I gave. I gave an
yeah,
analogy.
when you talk about people, then no, you cannot make the assumption of God existing
I don't
because
think he's
people are
tracking
healthy. No, I think
with any of the
I don't think I
analogies, actually.
understood the original analogy about order. I don't know what type
It's
of
very
order
simple.
we're
You're
talking
saying that there is order, therefore God, but there's also disorder, which would be therefore not God. We're asking
would-
you how you came to the conclusion that the order proves that there's God, but you've ignored the fact that there's more disorder than order.
Okay, what type of order are we talking about?
Whatever order you mentioned, you're the one that brought up order, right?
I mentioned a medical issue, someone dying because of a medical affliction that they had, and that the outcome was like their
But
organs
we're not
shutting
talking
down.
about your
And,
medical case. We're talking about the order of the universe. You brought this up.
well, the order of the universe is what you mentioned: people, healthy people and unhealthy people. I know you mentioned the order of the universe.
I don't think he's
I can't.
capable of following the conversation.
Look, you could be saying maybe because of laws of nature, therefore God. You could be doing something like that. Is
Yeah,
that what you're trying to do? Okay, but God doesn't
That's
need laws of nature, right? God can sustain everything himself. He doesn't need laws.
Yeah,
Why
he
would there?
can.
Okay, so then why would he need laws? That's like using a like I don't need like I don't need a screwdriver to if I have enough strength to pound a nail through a wall without hurting myself, right?
Mhm.
You know, let's say I'm like the Hulk or something, or I'm made of metal. Okay, it'd be
Yep.
weird for me to use a hammer,
Yeah.
right? God doesn't need tools, right? Humans need tools, animals need tools. God doesn't need a tool. So if there is a God, I wouldn't expect there to be any laws of physics.
So what we would just how would the world works with us in it then? If
If God were to exist,
yeah.
well, he would sustain everything. In fact, everything that would occur would occur merely because of his intention, not because of laws of nature.
Why would he sustain everything if he, as we religious people believe, whether it be Christian or whatever, that he created the earth for us to populate it and live in it?
I think you're asking. I think this is a red herring, but
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's as far as my understanding
That's
of
fair.
religions goes. Yeah.
That's
So
fair.
I'll just
Sensational.
conclude unless
Go ahead.
let the next person. So thank you for having me and thank you for this discussion.
Thanks for coming up.
Basically, the only thing I have to say is stay true to your beliefs and whatever comments people have about me in the YouTube chat, you can have them. I believe that
Don't-
everyone has the right to believe whatever they want, and I believe that respect should be the main thing that we should follow. Even if you believe Hadith or the Torah or the Bible or whatever else, if we have more respect as human beings for each other and each other's opinion, I think we would have more order, that's for sure.
Okay, Sensational. Thank
We
you for
agree
being
with
here.
you there. We agree with you there. Thanks for coming up, Sensational.
Take care.
We had a good time with Sensational. Let me read a couple super chats here real quick before we move on. Johannes, thank you for the $2 super chat. It says, aliens come across the galaxy to stack rocks. I believe that. That's how Doug got here. And again, with a $2 super chat, says, my first editions of Lord of the Rings are supremely true. I want to make this very clear. There's not a single contradiction in any of the Lord of the Ring books. That's how you know that they're true. And Judas,
So
again,
true.
with a $2 super chat, says, what about the hadith to marry underage girls? We almost got there. I tried to get there at some point, and he didn't seem to want to talk about it. But yeah, the Quran is perfectly okay with marrying 9-year-olds. Also, Judas again says M should narrate BBC documentaries. Yeah, we agree. M's got a great voice.
Oh, by the way, for those who are watching on YouTube, if you're not watching on YouTube, go watch on YouTube. And then crucify the like button, damn the subscribe button to hell, and make sure to, what's another good one? Somebody in the comments said this. Click the bell like you are the angel of death killing the firstborn.
That's right. And Johannes Brahms again, thank you for the $2 super chat. It says, God forced free will upon us. Actually, I wanted to bring up free will with the last caller because the Muslim God doesn't actually give you free will, which is another version of the problem of evil. He's the one damning people to hell. And Johannes, again, thank you for the $5 super chat, says, if all copies of the Quran were destroyed or corrupted, would you still arrive at the same conclusions? Is it Arabic or the book that's unnecessary? That's a very good point, because like, if the Quran disappeared tomorrow, if it didn't exist, there's no way people would still be coming to the conclusion that the claims of the Quran are true. It just wouldn't happen. And Ligma with the $2 super chat says, please reduce the guest volume. It is unbearable. I saw that and I did reduce it. I don't know if it made it better, but I did bring the guest volume down. He was loud for me, but I wasn't sure if he was loud for everybody else. So I'm sorry about that if it was too loud. But we have got time for one more guest. It has to be a short one because Dr. Blitz and I both have to go before 2 o'clock. Blitz, you want to bring one more up?
Yeah, sure. We have time for one more. I mean, in principle, I can stay for a little bit longer, but not that much longer. So
okay. All right, we'll get
let's
the
bring
next
up City.
guest in
City
here.
has been waiting for a grand old time.
Yeah, City's been waiting very patiently. Welcome in, City.
Hello.
How you doing,
Howdy.
City?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Nice. I'm here to get my revenge on Blitz.
Oh, why? What?
I thought we've talked to City before.
we've spoken before. Yes. Okay. So basically, I brought up the argument of time, and Blitz brought up affine time, which I didn't know enough about at the time, but now I know affine time. It's not a good way to defeat my argument, so I want my revenge.
Okay, well, tell me what you think affine time is. We'll see if
So
it's true.
affine time is literally just a mathematical description from like point A to point B.
That's what
does not
proper
have-
time is as well.
No, proper time can be experienced. Affine time cannot be experienced by like.
How do you know
ontological
affine time
beings.
can't be? How do you know affine time can't be experienced? Are you a photon?
Because it's a measurement. Photons cannot experience affine time.
How do you know?
This is a consensus
photon?
by like physicists.
No, it's not. What are you talking about?
Yes, it is.
Affine
Yes,
time
it is.
affine time is a way of measuring causation, or it's a way of measuring causal order.
It's a way to measure point A to point B.
Yes, that's what
it's
proper
not
time is
some-
too.
No, proper time can be experienced ontologically. Affine time cannot.
What does that mean? Can be experienced ontologically? All you can do is see a clock's hand move.
Like by a being. So like me and you are experiencing proper time.
Yeah.
We are-
So
we
to
are not
say that
experiencing
photons
affine
cannot
time.
experience. Yeah, you're right. Well, by the way, proper time is a type of affine time. But importantly, to say that a photon cannot experience affine time, you would have to show a photon not experiencing affine time. Otherwise, you're just kind of asserting something meaninglessly. But importantly, proper time is a type of affine time. So to say that we can't experience affine time is a little bit absurd because we are experiencing affine time. It's just a specific type of affine time.
In terms of a reference frame having a internal clock ticking, that's referencing proper time. Affine time does not affect
That's
that.
that's one way. That's one way to define it. Sure. Affine time is a way of measuring change on null geodesics, and that's a totally well-defined thing.
It's measuring like parameters from A to B, but it's not something
that's what proper time is too.
No, proper time is experienced ontologically. Like, what do you think we're experiencing?
Proper time is a mathematical construction, right?
Well, are we experiencing time? Yes or no?
Oh, that's a really deep question.
Is it?
Yeah.
Did we
surprisingly,
have a distinct moment now? Did we not have
What
a
is
distinct
time?
moment now from when I joined the school? Is they not distinct?
Well, you and I don't have the same now.
Well, we do because we hold like very
No, we
similar, like.
We're not in the same place.
Well,
So we have different motion.
on a grand scale, we are like the Earth is in this. We hold.
No, I
by
mean
the
the point is that the question of what is time is a really deep one. But to call affine time less real than proper time, even though proper time is a type of affine time, is a really weird claim.
Affine time. I've done my research on it. It's a parameter. It's a measurement. It's a mathematical measurement. It's not an experience like proper time.
I can't imagine this having any impact on whether God exists or not.
Okay. So you had to be there for the last one.
Yeah. Maybe provide context, and we can.
I'll get to my point.
Yeah.
So my point was
how is it that you
the-
can
the
measure
general
affine
biblical-
time if it doesn't get experienced?
So my point was that the general biblical consensus is that God is purely transcendental. He holds no mass. And so anything that possesses no mass experiences zero proper time, meaning they do not abide by linear sequential time.
Jesus?
So God-
Does this include Jesus?
No, so Jesus came to... I never said I was Christian, by the way.
Okay, when you say Bible, you meant Old Testament?
I meant like the consensus of like all religions basically hold God to be transcendent.
Most
imminent.
religion, I think, and I could be corrected on this, Justin and Blitz might know more, but I think if you look at human history, it's predominantly been polytheistic, right? At least historically speaking.
So I don't hold to a set biblical religion, but I'm just saying the general consensus.
Monotheism is a modern thing, or at least post, it's a common era.
I said I'm deistic, so I don't hold to
That's
a
also
biblical religion.
that's also a modern thing. That's even more modern.
Yes, even more modern.
But that's not the point. Okay, so basically the point is I don't hold to a set biblical religion. I'm just holding to a creator. He may not intervene with whether he does or not is irrelevant. The point is, basically no religion holds that God has mass or he's like a physical.
No,
being,
that's just
right?
not true.
Well, a
These
bunch
are
of
Greek
them do.
pagans.
Wait, so which
Or the
religions
Norse
say that he's like?
pagans.
Almost
pagan.
all of the ancient religions believed that the gods were made of actual matter. In fact, some of the gods were specifically killed in the heavens and then split to make things here on the earth. And the gods even went to war with each other. If you read like the ancient Ugaritic tablets or any of the Babylonian tablets, the gods fought against each other. And even when the Persians came in and defeated the Babylonians to free the Egyptians, they said it was using the might and the power of the Babylonian deities fighting on their behalf. And they even in the Bible, they described the gods coming down from the heavens and fighting battles, and described them as having like physical appendages.
Right. Okay. That's all right. Fair enough. That's not the consensus, but
Certainly
what I
is the
believe to be God.
consensus. Yeah, all ancient religions necessarily believed that the gods were material. They just believed that they lived in the skies. That's why there were so many mountain deities, because
Okay.
the mountain tops actually reached into the skies. That's why they built ziggurats that went really high up, and they called ziggurats like the gateway between heaven and earth, or the abode of the gods, or the gateway to the gods, because they believed that the gods lived just in the skies in a physical existence, and we just didn't have access to them.
And what you're talking about?
Wait. We're getting
sorry, this is
topic.
unrelated. I just want
Can
to
I
add in a. Just give me a sec. So, for what it's worth, I understand the tendency of people to do that, because like I've seen the Himalayas, I've seen Everest, and it really makes you think that there's something bigger than you, because they're so big. Like it breaks your brain a little bit. So I can see why people would be like, yes, that's where the gods are, right, in these heavenly places. Anyway.
And what you're talking about is classical theism, by the way, which is a specific conception of God, right?
Which is like 2,000 years old-ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit newer.
And even then,
we're getting
right?
so off topic. Okay, so Islam and Christianity hold to like 80-70% of the modern population, which is what I meant by consensus.
Oh, that's
they
not
would
true.
hold God. They would. Okay, I don't know the exact number. Like, it's the majority of like the world is either Islamic or Christianic. No.
Yeah,
it's about right.
Yeah, they make up the bulk.
So they would all hold that God is not material. Is that not correct? He's
not all of them. No, they're neoclassical theists, right? That are Christian and Muslim and Jewish. Neoclassical theists think God is in time.
But like, does he like is he composed of mass?
Yep.
That I'm not so sure. Maybe Justin knows.
According to the Bible, according to the Bible, he's got a physical body, and so do the angels that are up there with him. They've got physical bodies. They even eat and drink.
Wait, you talking about Christianity or Islam?
Judaism and Christianity. In the Bible, it talks about the actual body of God in the Bible.
And I'm certain that this is correct too. That Muslims think that Allah has right hands.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. You know what? I'm not. As I said, I don't hold to these. I just thought this was the consensus. But regardless, we're getting off topic. I'm a deist. I don't believe in any biblical gods. I just believe something created us. So when I said consensus, I thought that's what the majority of religions believe. If they don't, fair enough. But anyways, back on point. So if anything were to be purely transcendental and it's composed of zero matter, it possessed zero spatial time, purely temporal time. Sure, you could try to measure this with affine time, but proper time is what's experienced. Anything that has zero spatial temporal notions cannot be described, cannot experience time, which is what proper time is.
That's a claim that you should demonstrate.
No, this is a fact. Like photons.
No, that's a claim. You should demonstrate it. You should demonstrate it.
If a photon had an internal clock, it would not tick. They do not experience time. It were
Unfortunately, you're wrong. Photons, in some sense, do. They undergo redshift.
Redshift? Yeah, that's not to their reference frame. That's to something observing it that sees the redshift.
They change, right? They change. How do you know? They undergo change.
Because we see the redshift. That's our reference frame.
What do you think?
The photon does not experience redshift.
You can parameterize its travel by its redshift. So you can measure how much it's redshifted as a function of how far it's traveled.
Yes, you as an external source can measure it. That's not their experience.
Right. So
that's my point.
How do you know?
Because that's not internal. That's a reference frame observing.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Wavelength isn't internal. Wavelength isn't the property of the thing itself.
Wait, so do we experience redshift relative to something observing us moving away from it? Like, are we personally experiencing redshift right now?
Light is. The light we are not.
Relative,
the light is.
That's relative to something observing us.
So the light is, right?
So we are redshifting. We are redshifting.
No, we
away
are. Light is. We're just objects. We're not redshifting.
Yeah, okay, but the light, like, observing us is what I'm saying. It's redshifting.
Yes, and if we were able to somehow go and capture that light that's zooming away from us, a billion light years away, we would also see that it's redshifted.
Yeah, but that's different reference frames. That's not like internal. Internal is what proper time is.
So what do you think is happening to the photon then, as it travels?
What's happening to a photon as it travels?
Yeah, so it starts off with a certain amount of energy, with a certain wavelength, right? It gets to us, it has a different amount of energy, different wavelength.
Yeah, so in reality, a photon's not conscious, but were it to be like, were it to have like ontological properties, it would not experience proper time, is my point.
Wait, so okay, let's imagine that the photon's conscious for some reason, right? So it spawns into life, it has a wavelength, right? It has a size, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then it finishes its life, whether it experiences time or not, its size is the same or different?
Wait, say again?
When it finishes its life, when it's detected, is its size the same or is it different?
It's different.
Okay, so that means that it underwent change. Its conscious experience underwent change. Now, what do we call that?
Right, so internally, it went from A to B instantaneously to an outside observer, A to B.
That's a claim.
No, that's not a claim. That's the consensus of like physicists. I've literally researched it.
I'm a physicist.
Yeah,
I'm qualified to disagree with consensus.
I know, but this was my problem. I DM'd you. I said, I think you're using bad faith.
Wait.
You
I just want to make sure.
Oh, was that you?
Wait,
was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
City, are you saying that we should believe the consensus of scientists?
Sure.
Oh, I don't think scientists have a consensus on whether or not God exists.
Okay.
In fact, I would say every time we survey them, the consensus is that they don't believe in a God. So I don't think you actually care about scientific consensus. I think you're using it.
A belief is personal. It's
I think
not
you're
based
just
on
you're cherry picking which scientific consensus you like.
No. So a scientist's opinion on so if it's a physicist, their opinion on biology is irrelevant. I'm talking relative to their field. So if we're talking about affine time, their opinion is relevant. If we're talking about theology, their opinion, sure, they're a smart person, but it's not as relevant.
Sure, I'll agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
But what does this have to do with proving God or showing us that we should believe in God?
Okay, so I was just trying to prove that. It was basically deductive in that our universe possesses mass. Mass possesses cause and effect, right? And this cause and effect cannot regress infinitely. Something being purely transcendental or immanent doesn't abide by time, so it can have an eternal existence.
I think you
my point.
You did a speed run through the premises. Can you do one premise at a time?
Okay,
premise.
so I don't have
the singular is premise.
Sorry,
I don't have a syllogism written down. So, but okay, it's deductive in a way that. Sorry.
No, well, go ahead. I cut you off.
It's deductive in that. I don't have a set of premises written down. So
how about I give you my view, and then because if you're correct, my view doesn't work. So I'll give you my view. Okay, there's causal reality. Now, just by definition, there can't be a cause to causal reality because whatever that cause would then belong to causal reality. Okay. Now, if you're a naturalist, can I cut in?
Yeah. So that's why it's deductive. Cause and effect must have some form of being put into place. It can't exist in a
cause and effect must have a cause?
No. It's that cause and effect must be put into place.
Put into place. Is that
how
is that
an external source?
Yeah, that's a causal notion put into place.
No, that's a temporal notion, but God is not temporal.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that when you put something into place, that's a causal notion.
So a transcendental being putting something, quote unquote, into place would not be abiding by temporal notions.
I'm not talking about. Look, I'm asking, what does it mean to put into place if not cause?
Okay, so on the train of cause and effect. Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. Cause and effect cannot have a beginning. That's basically what you're getting to, right? Because I'm agreeing with you.
Let's just start over. There's causal reality. It doesn't make sense to say that causal reality has a cause because that would belong to causal reality. And thus be okay. So now naturalists want to say all of what exhausts causal reality is naturalistic, right? You would say no, another part of causal reality is God, right? Now, why should we include God in our conception of causal reality?
Because causal reality does not make sense either with a beginning or eternally. Neither of these make sense. As you just said, it cannot have a beginning, and a cause and effect cannot regress infinitely. That doesn't make sense.
He didn't
So
say
I'm
that.
saying, my deductive argument is that a transcendental
He
being.
keeps speed running over that point. You know, none of us said that. None of us have ever conceded that infinite regresses are impossible.
Danny said that a cause and effect cannot have a
No, causal reality can't have a cause because it would be part of the reality that you're saying has a cause. It doesn't make sense.
So it wouldn't have a beginning?
No, there's no beginning or end. It doesn't matter. Causal reality could have an infinite number of causes. It could have a finite number. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay, so why should we include in our idea of causal reality God?
Because God is transcendental and exists immanently in our world. He possesses no mass, so he does not abide by time.
Okay, I'm not getting it. You're saying that we should... Go ahead.
Sorry, I just have this is perhaps unrelated, but do you think God is the kind of thing that would have a property of mass? Like whether zero or non-zero, it seems weird to say that God is the kind of thing that would have that property.
Right, I said he has no mass.
No, so the property of mass, whether it's zero or non-zero, is still a property. Not all, like the idea, or for example, the concept of justice, you'd be making a category error to say that justice has no mass, right? So it seems like you're making a category error when you say that God has no mass, unless you're saying that God is a physical thing composed of massless particles.
Mass is the
which I don't think is what you're saying.
Mass is the construct that he's built our world out of, and that construct limits us.
No, that's matter. Mass is a property. Mass is not a substance.
Mass is what gives you matter.
That's a category error.
Mass is an atomic number, right?
Mass is a property. No, mass is a property. Mass is a description. Mass is an adjective. Matter is a noun.
In other words, Blitz, for the people that are slow like me, mass is just about how much. Is that how much?
Yeah, how many atoms?
Okay.
How many atoms?
No, right. So the atoms are the stuff that things are made out of. Mass is just a number that tells you something about those atoms. So it sounds like you're making a category error.
Does the atomic number not equate to the mass?
Atomic number can be used to count the amount of mass, which is a number, but that isn't the... Okay, so this would be like saying that a fire truck is redness. Fire trucks are red, they have the property of red, but red isn't what the fire truck is. Red, like the concept of red is not identical to the fire truck.
But the fire truck
this is a common category error.
As things with matter are composed of mass.
So do you think that ideas have mass?
Ideas?
Do you think that they have zero mass, I should say?
Wait, I think this fits my argument, because I don't get how you would explain, like, abstracts.
This is, I mean, we can talk about that, but what I'm saying is that you're making a category error. Things that have mass or things that don't have mass, things that have a mass of 0 kilograms, those are physical things. There are no, like, if you believe that there are non-physical things, trying to compute the mass of that thing would be a category error.
Wait, can you say that again? Sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, so the property of mass, whether it's 0 kilograms, like a photon, or whether it's not 0 kilograms, like an electron, that's a property of physical things. You are not, I assume you're not supposing that God is a physical thing, which means that trying to ascribe a mass, whether 0 or non-zero, to God is a category error. It's a mistake. It would be like trying to apply the concept of mass to the idea of justice. Justice is a concept. We typically don't think of concepts as physical things that you can measure the mass of.
I don't see that's a category. Like if I said mathematics.
Can somebody else explain this to him better than I can?
What did he say originally, Blitz? What did he say originally?
If I said logic,
he said that God has zero mass.
Oh, okay. I think can we just interpret him as saying that God is immaterial? That's what
if he does that, if he does that, but then this business of trying to argue that photons don't experience time and therefore it's that's an argument about things with actual zero mass.
Wait, but you're playing semantics with me. You're playing semantics.
This isn't semantics. This is a conceptual error that you're making.
You know when I'm referencing mass or matter, it's the same thing. I'm just saying God's immaterial.
But the problem is that then that's not congruent with your previous statements, is what Blitz is saying. because
In
about
what
the
way?
photon discussion.
Right,
Mass is
if
a
you're
common
going
number.
if you're
God
going
is
to
not
make the
composed
claim,
by atoms. God does not
if you're
abide
go-
by the strong force. Like he does not compose.
if you're going to make the claim that because God has zero mass, therefore God doesn't experience time, you are implicitly suggesting that God is a material thing, but just made of massless stuff. And that's not the claim you want to make.
That's not what I'm inferring.
Then you can't use the argument about, timeless photons, even though, I don't think that that's a good argument. You can't use that argument to refer to non-material things.
Okay, so I'll
Special
try to explain
relativity special relativity doesn't apply to the metaphysical. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, sure. So
Okay,
anything
but let's
that
start.
has
But let's start from why. I didn't understand your reasoning for why we should include in causal reality God.
okay, God does not abide by cause and effect. Cause and effect cannot regress infinitely. Therefore, conclusion: God is the only explanation for an eternal universe.
Well, neither
this
one
is
of those premises
I haven't
are
written this down
supported,
in
and they
silly
don't
format, but
Look,
actually
what we
agree
have-
with each other.
Look, your argument is dead on the floor, and we have to I can be super charitable. But that's just too much work. I don't think you've thought through this.
elaborate.
Well, you gave premises, right? Which number one, we're not going to accept, and number two, you've formed the argument invalidly, even if the premises were
Wait,
true.
why won't you accept them? Why won't you accept my premises?
Because I don't have, for instance, I don't think there's anything illogical about an infinite regress of causes.
So can a cause and effect regress infinitely?
Yeah.
That's so illogical.
Why can't it?
Yeah.
Because a cause and effect is a linear pathway.
You can have infinite linear pathways, sure.
Look, is there a contradiction in this statement? A ball has always been bouncing.
So we don't get into the exact same conversation me and Blitz had last time. What this conversation led to, because we had the exact same conversation.
You already did this with him, Blitz.
Kind of. I don't want to do like an identical thing, but can
You can have this conversation though with him, Danny. You'll probably explain it better.
I don't know about that.
Can you give an example of an infinity in our world?
Suppose there are no examples. Nothing. It doesn't turn anything.
Because I think infinity is purely a concept. So when you say infinitely bouncing, what does that mean? That's conceptual.
Okay, so there's a ball here. Okay, and it's bouncing. You understand what that means, right? I stipulate the ball has never started to bounce. It's always been bouncing. Okay,
You just commenced it.
I know I commenced it, but then I'm stipulating. You know what a stipulation is? I'm stipulating that.
But this is purely hypothetical. That's not realistic. Because you just commenced it.
Look, to show that something's logically, you don't need to show that it's quote unquote realistic to show that it's illogical or illogical.
Okay,
right?
but you're creating a hypothetical that cannot exist in our world because you have.
That's what you failed to show.
I'm showing you cannot commence that without having a beginning.
You're repeating the claim. When you say I can't do it, it can't be done, that's just repeating it.
So make that ball bounce without starting it, without initiating it. Go.
Suppose I don't have the power to do that. How does that turn the
exactly,
discussion?
Because you can't show an infinity in our real world.
That's what you have to show.
You just tried to show it, and you
wait.
Look,
City, you're suggesting that infinities don't exist because somebody can't physically show you an infinity, but then that debunks your whole God nonsense. Until you can physically show me your God, there's no reason to believe that it exists.
Yeah, because God's transcendental and immanent.
So apparently so are infinities.
Infinities are abstract concepts of which are composed from our mind. So they do not exist absent a mind.
Okay, so you're saying you can do... Are you saying it's contradictory, or are you saying something else?
Is what contradictory?
To say that there's been an infinite regress of causes. Is that contradictory?
An infinite regress of causes. It's not contradictory, it's just illogical.
Oh, okay.
No, that's the definition of illogical is contradictory.
What do you mean by illogical? Because if by illogical meaning...
Form of logic. It's a form of an illogical...
Okay, look,
statement.
if we agree that there's no contradiction, then we're in the step... We're in agreement to some...
Danny, you're missing it. It could also be violating the law of identity.
I mean, okay, when you say it's illogical, what do you mean?
So for something to have a cause and effect that regresses infinitely.
No. I just want to know what you mean by illogical. Define illogical,
So-
because we may agree for all I know. But if illogical means it's hard to understand, I'm going to agree.
No. There's the 3 laws of logic. Identity, contradiction. I forget the third one.
Okay, but if you're saying it's not contradictory, right? It doesn't. There's no. You're saying it violates another law.
Okay, but so
that's
logic
one
is that ontological, or does logic exist abstract in our world?
It doesn't matter.
It's a
No, it does matter,
A
'cause
complete goalpost shift.
Whatever
by the
your
way.
view is, I'll take your
No,
view.
no. So do you think if no being existed, would logic exist?
I'm going to take your view. Whatever your view is on logic, we can proceed because it's irrelevant.
No, but this further proves my point.
No, it actually doesn't prove your point. He's just asking for your definition of logical. What does it mean to be logical?
Logic just abides by the laws of inference.
Okay, so that means that what inference rule or law of logic does the statement there's been an infinite regress of causes in our universe violate?
I haven't conformed like syllogisms for you. Like I'm
No,
sorry.
you don't need a
I don't wanna go
syllogism
down-
here. I know. I'm not asking for an argument, right? I'm asking for what law does it violate? It's just one sentence you have to give me. Like, for instance, the law of identity, which you're not going to say that.
What
You're not-
was the
you shouldn't
third
say
law? I've completely forgotten. So there's identity, there's contradiction.
excluded
What's the
middle.
third
Excluded middle, but that's actually the most
Excluded
contentious one.
one? Okay, but there's also other like forms of logic, like fuzzy logic, which is based on like.
You just go. You skip around whatever logic suits you. What do you, or do you? Are you going to pick
Well,
one?
is there an objective truth? You want to talk about that?
Well,
'Cause
so
that's a whole other
see,
problem.
Danny, you're
What is
confused.
that?
He keeps trying to pivot.
City accepts an alternative set of logical axioms where it's like classical logic, except the 4th axiom is there are no infinite regresses.
That's what it sounds like.
If things have a cause and effect, that's completely linear.
You know, there's no logical system that even mentions causes and effect.
Okay. I don't want to take this route again, but like you're forcing me to. Okay, so we have a linear. So we're sat at 0. There's an infinite number line going negatively.
Wait. I need the question answered. What
Sorry,
law of logic or rule of inference do you think it violates? And then we can get into how it violates it.
Infinite regression. Okay, so do I have to give a law, or can I just give an explanation? Because
I want a law or an inference
Okay,
rule.
I can't state the law. There's
Well then
different,
what are we looking for now?
There's different definitions of like logic.
You
Like,
already
we
said it's
can-
not any of them, right? At any whether you're taking from fuzzy or paraconsistent or relevance, it doesn't matter, right? If you don't even know the law, what are we even looking for?
Yeah, okay. I can't give you the definitive law. I'm sorry.
Okay,
but
it's
I
like
can give you the explanation.
it's like we're out in the forest looking for something, and I'm asking you, what are we looking for? And you're like, I don't know.
I can give you the explanation though.
Okay.
Will that explanation include something like, and this violates the law of non-contradiction, or and this violates modus ponens? Like, will whatever explanation you give actually point to some contradiction with some accepted logical axiom?
Yeah, it'll violate the law of infinity. I promise you that.
There's no law.
This is
What
trolling.
is
We're
the law
wasting
of
our
that?
time.
So-
I'm trying
No,
really
the
hard.
definition,
Yeah,
the
that's-
definition. Not the law.
I
Sorry.
just want to make sure that we're all 3 of us are on the same page here, Sitter. If you're saying that an infinite regress is illogical, then you have to demonstrate what foundational law of logic it's breaking, because that's what it means to be illogical. So we're asking you right now, if it is illogical, what's the instrument that you're using to determine that it is indeed illogical?
Oh, am I muted? Okay. Deductive reasoning.
Oh my god,
So
this is
there's
too
either-
painful. Let's just grant it to him. Let's give it to him. Okay, no infinite regresses can't occur. Let's just grant it. Okay, there's a beginning. Why should we think that the beginning includes a conscious entity? There we go. We bypassed that painful conversation.
Wait. I don't think God has a beginning. He's transcendental. He doesn't.
No, you
experience
think
time.
there was a beginning of the universe. Now, why in the first moment is there a conscious entity?
So our universe has a beginning. God doesn't have a beginning. Do we have that distinction?
But you think that God exists in the universe, no?
No, not in. No,
He's not
in
here,
Our universe.
so he's nowhere.
He's not in space time. He's not in space time.
Where
he's
is
not
he?
in space time.
He's nowhere.
He's external to space time.
Is he nowhere or everywhere?
He's external to our space time.
Well, external is a reference to location. That's what the word external means. So you can't say he's
Yeah.
external to space. So he's either nowhere or he's everywhere.
So space-time is the fabric of which we are contained within. He is not in that.
Is God aware of this moment right now? Does God know we're having a conversation?
We've had this convo, but yes, he is.
Okay, so then I don't know what you're talking about.
So God can experience indexical points.
Experiencing is a temporal notion.
It is, but it's relative to our understanding. Like I can't use terms that it's just going to sound like he can experience multiple indexical points.
City. The question was,
God exists nowhere and at no time, and he's made of nothing.
Wait, I never said that.
City.
The description of God is identical with non-existence, but he exists. Go ahead, Blitz.
City. The question was, let's just grant for a moment that the universe has a beginning. Why should that have been caused by some sort of conscious mind?
Okay, so our universe, that can I try and draw a distinction with our universe, if you call it observable, or just the space-time continuum?
Let's say the entirety of physical reality.
No, I don't want to say everything, the conglomerate, because that includes God. I'm trying to
physical. I said physical reality.
Right. So I'm trying to distinct God from our universe, whether you want to call it.
Okay, wait. Do you think so? When I say physical reality, I mean things made of matter, things existing in some sort of physical state, guided by physical laws, whatever. Not including metaphysical reality, whatever that might be.
So can I say that the universe that we live within, let's say it's in some form of container. It's not eternal. It's not infinite. So we exist within this universe.
Is this going to answer my question?
It will. I'm sorry. Let me just
promise.
Try and
Do you promise?
So there's
I'll be
some
very
form
sad
of
if it doesn't.
limitation. It's not eternal. So can I say God is external to this space-time continuum?
Just for the sake of argument, sure, go ahead. Why should we think that the cause of this space-time continuum is conscious?
Okay, so I think God is both transcendental and immanent in that he can exist within and also immaterial.
He can exist within and also not within.
Yeah, so he's immaterial.
Why should the cause of our space-time...
That's called a contradiction.
Wait, but that's what immanent and transcendental means. But
typically, classical theists, right, will not want to say he's both absolutely transcendental and immanent, right? They're not going to say that.
I didn't say he's absolutely 100%.
Okay, so he's in creation.
He possesses both of those properties.
He's part transcendental.
Yeah, he possesses both of those properties.
Okay, so he's partly transcendent, partly not transcendent.
Sure.
Okay, so was God in the first moment? Was he aware of the first moment?
There's no first moment. That's
what it means to say there's a beginning.
That's a category error. No, there's a beginning for our space-time continuum.
I can't talk to you.
There's a beginning.
Are you talking about the beginning? Are you talking about the?
All right, I think it's about time to end the live. City, you did your best to defend your God that exists nowhere at no time and is made of absolutely nothing, but we're past our cutoff. We were supposed to be done by 2, so we appreciate you coming up, and we'll be live again next week. You're welcome to come on up and try it again, but thanks for joining us, okay? All right, guys, let me grab our last super chats, and Danny, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate the invitation.
Sorry that you had to come up here and listen to that, but, you know, it is what it is.
We've all heard worse.
It is the way of things.
We've all heard worse.
Judas, thank you for the $2 super chat. Judas says, guest walked in confident and then slipped on a banana. That might be about right. He was a good sport about it, you know? And Johannes, thank you for the $2 super chat. It says, deists believe they discovered the undiscoverable. That is true. And it's really reaching to me because I feel like imagine, for example, that this God exists, like this deistic God. Who gives a fuck? This God doesn't care about you. It doesn't matter if you believe in this God or not. The deistic God's not your friend. Also, Judas again. My goodness, thank you, Judas. Judas says, justice is blind. Checkmate, Blitz.
And massless, I guess.
Yeah.
Justice doesn't experience time. It is unchanging.
Justice is transcendental. We heard it here, guys. Tim, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. It says, oh my, no God, I love this show. Y'all are great. I agree. We Blitz and Danny and Ian when he's here, they're phenomenal people, way smarter than me.
So are you, Justin.
Justin, you're selling yourself short.
Judas again.
Was that a Hobbit joke?
What's that?
What's that Hobbit joke?
He just insulted me. It's okay.
I have concepts of infinity. That's a good one.
Judas says, guest in Trump voice, I have concepts of infinity. That's a good super chat. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you so much for joining us. We started a little bit late today. We had to get some technical issues ironed out, but I think we're good to go, and we should be back again next week. Guys, if you're not following Danny, his profile is on the TikTok right now. Make sure you drop Danny a follow. Danny, you also have a YouTube channel. It's is it Danny Phil Talk?
Yeah, but it's dead right now, so don't go over
Yeah,
there.
but if and when TikTok disappears, you're going to be posting stuff there, right?
I don't know. That people like some of these guests make me want to retire, so
Yeah, I don't blame you there. And Dr. Blitz is on TikTok. You already know that because 300,000 of you already follow him. And
360.
That's so many. And your YouTube channel is up as well under the same handle. It's at Blitz PhD, right?
Yeah, and by the way, y'all, if you're not also, go follow Justin's account. Because this isn't Justin's account. Justin has his own account. It's called Deconstruction Zone.
You know, I didn't even know about that account until last night, Justin. I thought you were... Yeah,
it's great. He uploads his
Did you start on YouTube and then come to TikTok or vice versa?
I started on TikTok, and then over the summer, somebody was like, hey, you can stream to TikTok and YouTube at the same time. So over the summer, I started streaming to YouTube, and now I'm on YouTube.
I see.
Multi-streaming is a great tool. So,
great tool.
Follow everybody everywhere,
Yeah. But
smash the subscribe.
That's right. Crucify that subscribe button.